Hey there everybody. Today I'm going to talk to you how I get my mustache from this raggedy old thing to this. How I do that is with Clubman Mustache Wax. It's got a whole bunch of ingredients in it that I will post down below for you guys. It says natural on it, but it's got a whole bunch of stuff in there that I can't spell, so I don't know. Alright, now that I'm uncomfortably close to the camera, I shall show you guys how to do this.
Where has my money gone? Where does it hide? They say the economy grows, but my shares been denied. Where has my money gone? My life's in the red, just like the years I lost. It will never be back.
And it's as easy as that. Because I got the white, it kind of looks like I've got a dandruff sometimes in my mustache, which really isn't a flattering look. I highly suggest getting the brown or the black, depending on what color your hair you have. Even if you're really blonde, I suggest going with the brown. It'll make your mustache look more visible. The white, I would go with it if you actually have a really white mustache. Otherwise, I would definitely go with one of the other colors. When you buy them in the tube like this, it comes on a cardboard sheet. It also comes with a little brush. However, that brush broke when I was trying to pull it out of the packaging. So I went to the local store, and in the beauty section, there was this. It's actually for the eyebrows. It works really well for the mustache too. Otherwise, I think that it's a pretty decent product. I will probably next time go for a true wax opposed to something in a tube. This is more of a, kind of comes out like toothpaste. It's kind of weird, but it's decent. I say if you don't know if you want to go for this type of a mustache, I say, you know, get the cheap stuff and then you can progress from there just like everything else. Better go cheap than going out and buying a expensive wax and then deciding that you don't like it, and then you got $10 tin of wax sitting there that you never used. So anyways, if you guys like this review, I would really appreciate if you guys would press that subscribe button somewhere down there. Leave a comment if you guys have any ideas of better ways to get my mustache under control, or you guys got any suggestions on different waxes. Please leave a comment. Until next time, you guys have a good day. For those of you that saw my Clubman Mustache Wax review, you guys know what my thoughts are on it. And you also know that I said that I was going to be going to another product once I got done with it. Well, that's precisely what I did. And this time around, it is the Fisticuffs Mustache Wax in the Bay Rum aroma. Now, right off the bat, the aroma is not very horribly overpowering. You're not going to be smelling it all day long constantly. About the first 3-4 days I would smell it every now and then, but after that, honestly, I smell it when I put it on, when I apply it, and when I purposefully open the container to smell it. But anyways, I got this online for I believe about $8. The first thing that I noticed about it is that it's got a really nice tin to it. It's one-hand operable, which is very nice. You just have to put down a little bit of pressure in the center there, very, very lightly, and pull your thumb back and it opens up nicely. Another thing that I like about it is, listen to this. That click tells me before I put it in my pocket that it is securely shut and is not going to be making a mess in my pocket, which could really, really make a bad mess. I mean, you rub your keys or something like that up against there and then it gets inside your pocket, and yeah, I don't even want to know where it would go after that. One of the downfalls to it is that I do have to apply it quite a bit, but I think that that's mainly because my mustache naturally is not wanting to curl all the time like it should. I'll have like this side really nicely curled, and then this side here does one of these. you know, and then just goes down. And so I'm having a hard time training my hair, so I think what I actually need is something a little bit stiffer than this. This is quite a bit stiffer than the Clubman Wax is, and it is really, really easy to apply. You've got your Fisticuffs logo, flip it over, and you got their website and instructions, and then you got their ingredients, which since I did the ingredients on the Clubman, I'm gonna read you these ones too. This one has beeswax, tea tree oil, jojoba oil. I'm not quite sure what that is. I might have to look that up. That might be interesting. Or you guys can tell me if you know what it is in the comments. Let's see here. We got coconut oil, petroleum jelly, and some essential oils. The essential oils, I'm guessing, is what gives it the aroma. This is really good stuff, guys, especially if you guys already got mustaches that are doing what you want it to do kind of naturally, but maybe you just want it to look a little bit extra spiffy. I'm going to go ahead and apply this for you guys and do a little time lapse here. So I'm going to have to get, once again, uncomfortably close to the camera. As you guys see, this stuff is really easy. Just to open it up, rub some on the back of the thumbnail, and rub it in like that and stroke it through your mustache. It's really good. I like this stuff. I think that it would work a little bit better for me if my mustache was indeed already trained to the way that I want it to be. I have actually been trimming my mustache and keeping it short right above the nose, and that has seemed to really help keep the food out of my mouth, or the hair out of my mouth, and the food out of my mustache. So I've also cut down on the size of curl that I want. It's just a small one, just enough to, you know, give it a little bit of a flare. And I think if my mustache was trained a little bit better, this stuff would definitely be my go-to. It works wonderfully for that. If you guys are trying to just get into growing a mustache and gonna go with the handlebar, I suggest maybe trying to find something a little bit thicker that'll last a little bit longer throughout the day. When I first started this, I was doing it about 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the afternoon. I know, it sounds like a drug addict or something, but anyways, because I would just have one side or the other off kilter, and it just wasn't looking right. One other thing about this is that it's not half as messy as that Clubman stuff that I did a review on last time. You know, that stuff, I felt like I had to wash my hands every time after I got done using it. Fisticuffs, if I'm in my truck and I realize that my mustache is off kilter, I'm not afraid to pull it out and use it and go on with my day. So don't forget to subscribe for more mustache wax reviews and others like it. Leave me a comment down below, guys. I would love to hear from you guys on your thoughts and comments on my videos, whether it has to do with the video product that I'm doing a review on, or if it has to do with my videoing technique or whatever. You know, constructive criticism, and yeah, I know I need to learn how to speak. Constructive criticism is definitely welcome, so I'd love to hear from you guys, and hopefully till next time, you guys have a good one. Original mustache wax in secondary. Right off the bat, their packaging is a nice round tin, so it always falls nicely to the bottom of your pocket. It is a little thicker than the last mustache wax that I reviewed. We've got the Fisticuffs container right here, and the Can You handlebars right here. So it all ends up about even, honestly, with how much room it takes up in your pocket, because it's, you know, twice as thick, but it is smaller this way. Their container has their brand name on it, the amount of product inside, which is 21 grams, and then up here it says the original mustache wax secondary. And around the circumference, it's got this written. It says manufacturing, Royal Oak, Michigan. Ingredients: beeswax, lanolin, castor oil, coconut oil, shea butter, and vitamin E. This stuff is much thicker than the last few reviews that I've done. You're definitely going to want to make sure that you warm it up in your pocket, warm it up in your hands a little bit, make sure that it gets nice and warm, and then you can scrape some off into your finger and put some into your mustache. And it works very, very well, guys. I've been only having to put this in my mustache once. It stays pliable and maneuverable all day. So if for some reason it does get off kilter, which it's only done a very, very few times for me, then I can fix it. And I don't have to get more out and apply more or anything like that. I just simply go like that and it stays for a good long time. The last few that I've done, I've had to apply a couple times a day. This stuff, even on a hot day, it'll pretty much hold your stash right where you want it. So that is definitely a plus. Smells like freshly cut lumber. This takes quite a bit less than the other stuff does. There's a lot of air in there. And then rub it between my fingers. This stuff, you're not going to want to twist it. You're going to actually want to pull it through your mustache. So we're just going to pull it through like so. And pull it up to where you want it. If you guys got really stubborn mustache hair like I've been finding out that I do, that doesn't want to naturally curl, definitely get yourself some of this handlebar mustache and see how you like it. Once again, this is the Can You Handlebar brand. So hopefully you guys like this. Don't forget to leave me a comment about what mustache wax you guys have been using or what mustache you guys want to try out, and maybe I'll get it next and try it for you guys. Also, don't forget to press the subscribe button down below for more random reviews on random products or mustache wax reviews. So, till next time, you guys all have a good one. I talked to you guys about my little mustache comb here that I got, that I've been using for a couple of weeks. And when I ordered this, I also ordered the BeesKnees mustache wax. BeesKnees makes things like pomades for the hair and stuff like that. They don't have that many products out there, but I figured I'd give them a shot because, well, they looked interesting. Now the ingredients in this is kind of nice. All that's in it is lanolin, beeswax, and some essential oils to give it a really nice lemony, woodsy smell. This particular one has lemongrass and cedarwood essential oils in it. Now it has a pretty strong smell, kind of like when you open a bag of lemon heads. But it does have a very nice color to it as well. When I first got this in the mail, I was rather disappointed because it's only a ½ ounce and I was blind and I didn't read the fact that it was a ½ ounce for just about $8 on Amazon. Now, I went on their website and saw that it's actually just about $5. But for almost $8 off Amazon, this is kind of sad, to say the least. Because it is literally half the size of what I'm used to getting in the mail when I make my orders for my mustache waxes. But at $5, I would definitely say that this would be well worth it. So I'm going to include a Amazon link down below for you guys. And it might be available and it might not. Today when I looked, it wasn't available. However, it was available on their website. It's got a pretty soft texture to it, but it spreads very, very nicely on the mustache. It's kind of got a Vaseline-ish texture to it, but not quite as oily. It holds the hair together pretty well, but it does give it kind of a natural look to it once you let it sit on your face for a little bit. And it does kind of let the hair separate a little bit, which is kind of nice, especially if you like that more natural look. I would honestly suggest trying out this mustache wax if you can get a hold of it, because it is a pretty nice product. I've been using it quite a bit. Just know that you are going to have to put it in your mustache a couple times a day. But guys, I'm still on the hunt for another mustache wax, and next month I'm going to be doing one on the Old Country mustache wax. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down on this video, and leave me comments, because I always like hearing from my watchers. So until next time, you guys all have a good one. The guys over at Vintage Beard Company. I got this tin for about $10 to $12. I don't remember exactly, off of Amazon, but you can order it directly from their site for $10.99, and I do believe that they have free shipping and handling for all orders, which is definitely a plus. As always, this mustache wax is made in the United States. It seems like all of the suppliers are really from the United States. I think I only saw one or two that might be from China. And, well, I'm not going to order a mustache wax from China. What do they know about mustaches, right? I mean, come on, people. This is a 1-ounce tin. Instead of having the regular pop-off lids, you actually have to unscrew this one, which is definitely different than my other tins. It actually took me a few minutes to figure that out. And I'll tell you what, I kind of felt like a dummy when I did, because the ridges on these are very clearly there, and it just... I'm just so used to popping it on and off, it took me a few minutes to figure out how to get it off of there. The only thing I don't agree with them on is that they say that it's supposed to smell like it's woodsy fresh. To be honest with you, it doesn't smell like woods at all to me. It might to you guys, it doesn't to me. I don't know what it smells like, but to me it's not something that I would originally say, oh, I'm going to take this and put it on my face. It doesn't smell that good, but it does go away very quickly once it's out of its confined jar, so that's a plus. The ingredients really are all natural, guys. It's got lanolin, beeswax, pine resin, jojoba oil, and other essential oils. This is supposed to be a regular to medium hold, and I think that they're right on about that. One thing that's kind of weird about it is, if you look at it, it doesn't look like your regular wax. And honestly, that's because it's not like your regular wax. So I just took a little bit in my fingers here, and I'm going to move it together and watch this. Yeah, it's like tacky. That's not like any of my other waxes that I have. So I was kind of wary about this, because I wasn't quite sure how well it was going to work, because it's tacky, and I'm not used to using anything tacky. Everything that I've put on my mustache has always been more, you know, like a true wax. And honestly, this has not been a disappointment to me. It's actually been rather surprising, because it actually holds a lot better than I thought. And something interesting about it is that it actually kind of makes my mustache feel more natural. Like, after a while, I don't notice that it's got the wax in it like I do some other waxes. One bad thing about that tackiness is that when you're closing it, it's kind of can get your thing kind of messy there. But as I was saying, it really did surprise me on the feel of it, because I thought that I was going to feel like oily all day long. But honestly, I don't at all. And that was a definite pleasant surprise for me. As you can see, my mustache looks a whole lot nicer now, and it kind of has a little bit of a shine to it, which honestly, I even take, and anything that's left over on my fingers, I take and put down here on my goatee too, so that it gets kind of a nice shine to it. Another thing that I noticed that we're using this is that the hairs don't always want to stay exactly where they are supposed to. So you might have to put a little bit more of this in every, you know, if you notice that a few hairs are being disgruntled, or however you want to put it, like right here. I got these right here. I'm probably going to end up having to put a little bit more in. But when you do put more of it in, you definitely want to go just a little bit more at a time, because you can overdo this. And when you do, it's like one side will be perfect, and then one side will be absolutely horrible. Like if you see right now, this side over here Looks like it's getting weighted down a little bit. I've been using this wax for about a month now. I do like it because it does seem to give me a little bit fuller looking mustache. However, because it is a regular or medium hold, I tend to be putting more in it more often. But hey, at least it makes it feel nice. I mean, honestly guys, my mustache feels much more healthy when I am using this stuff, so I'll probably at least make sure that I keep using it a couple times a week just to keep that healthy feel in my mustache. As always, don't forget to give me a thumbs up or thumbs down depending on if you did or did not like this review, and hit that subscribe button. Something that they've changed for their Stronghold mustache wax is that it no longer comes in the long tin, which if you don't know what I'm talking about, I did a review on the regular mustache wax, which you can see up here. The ingredients for the Stronghold includes beeswax, tea tree oil, jojoba oil, coconut oil, petroleum jelly, pine sap, and some essential oils, which once again I think that the essential oils are pretty much just for the aroma of the bourbon. The Stronghold has the same directions as the first one, just like all of them. Scrape it with your thumb about the size of a pea, rub it around in your fingers, and apply it. One of the first things that I usually do as soon as these come in the mail is to open them up and smell them and see what they smell like and to see what kind of consistency they have, so that even if I'm not going to use it right away. One of the things that I noticed right away when I tried doing that is that this tin is much harder to get off than some of the other ones. You really got to clamp down on it and really turn it, or a lot of times that wouldn't even work. So what I ended up having to do is work my way around it to get it to loosen up a little bit and then pull it off of there. And as you see, it's not a screw-on lid, so I'm not making that mistake again. The smell to me does not smell like bourbon at all. It smells very perfumey, which to me is definitely not a good thing because I can get really bad migraines from really strong perfume smells. Luckily, I've been using this for a month and I don't think that it's given me a migraine yet. I have had a few migraines, but I think that they're weather related. Now, most mustache waxes that I've tried, once I've applied it, about 3-4 minutes later I stop smelling the product because the brain just kind of shuts down that smell. However, with this one, just random times during the day I would smell it, and it is really, really strong, which just kind of tells you that this is definitely a stronger smell than most of the other waxes out there. Now, to apply this, it says to take a pea size with the scrape of your nail. If that was all together, I would say that that's about pea size. And rub it in between the fingers and apply. As far as the hold goes, it holds rather well throughout the day, but you have to make sure that your first application you put enough on, because if you don't, I'm telling you this right now, it will not hold very well. I do like this wax, however, I think that if they toned down the smell a little bit and got rid of the petroleum jelly, I think that it could be a much, much better product. Now there's a question that really needs to be answered for this review to be complete, and that is, do I think that it's a strong hold? Well, there's two ways to answer that. The first way is up against its own product. In other words, the original mustache wax by Fisticuffs. And that answer is absolutely. It is a much, much stronger hold. Now, do I think that it's a strong hold compared to some of the other waxes that I've tried? No. I would have to say that this is probably more of a medium hold for any other product. And I think the only reason for that, once again, is because of the petroleum jelly. I think that that really, really hinders the product from being a true stronghold. Hopefully you guys like this review of the Stronghold Fisticuffs Mustache Wax. Leave me a called Vintage Grooming Company. And well, today we're going to look at yet another one of their products called Death Grip. Now, a couple of the waxes that I've tried out tell you to warm up the entire thing in your hand, so I usually just go like this and, you know, kind of warm it up and maybe blow on it a couple of times to, you know, get the hot air blowing on it to be able to loosen it up and kind of make it a little bit more waxy. And well, that just doesn't work with Death Grip, guys. For Death Grip, just like the instructions say, you do actually need to pull out the big boys. Now, just like the Old Country, they did use a 1 ounce tin for it, so it's the same size as the Old Country and pretty much the same tin. It is a twist off. However, something interesting with this tin is that it actually comes with what is essentially a guitar pick with their logo on it. Now, unfortunately, I did not take a picture of the back of this tin before I started using it, so I can't tell you guys what it says on the back. One of the things that really interested me about Death Grip was the fact that it's got 3 ingredients, and all 3 of those ingredients are 100% natural. It's got pine rosin in it, which makes it really sticky. It's got beeswax in it, which naturally helps retain the moisture. And it's got lanolin in it, which has vitamin D to help your mustache be very healthy. Which I do believe that that's exactly what this does. Now, it's not an instant hold from what I have found. Now, mind you, I am in an attic, so it is very hot up here as it is. And I have to use the blow dryer to be able to apply this. So it doesn't cool down quite as fast as it would in a regular part of a house. So it's probably not quite as instant of a hold. However, right around about 20 minutes, it's pretty much there for the rest of the day. Now, this is not a mustache wax that like hairspray where it gets hard. It does stay pliable throughout the day. I got my Death Grip, I got my blow dryer, and I got my comb. Let's do this. Use a blow dryer or other heat source to warm the wax in the tin for 5 to 10 seconds. Scrape up a small portion of wax with the including scraping pick. Rub wax between fingers and apply heat using blow dryer or other heat source for a few seconds as you work into the mustache with a comb. The mustache will harden in about 30 seconds like a styling gel, and if further shaping is needed, then simply warm the mustache with a blow dryer for another 3 to 5 seconds to reshape those handlebars. Alright, so as you guys can see, my mustache looks great. It's set for about 5 minutes now with me moving the camera and stuff. So it's holding very well right now. And it does leave a little bit of a shine. So if you don't really like the shiny mustache waxes, this one might not be for you. However, if you like a mustache wax that definitely holds, I really do suggest Death Grip. It's a great product. And I've made up my mustache about noon before. And the next day when I woke up at like 10, all I did was ran my comb through it a couple of times and it looked like I had done my mustache, which is really awesome. Now, on days that were windy or that were really hot, I actually did have some of the Old Country in my pocket just in case if I needed to do a touch-up. And it's very rare that I did need to use it. I just like to have it in my pocket just in case. You can get Death Grip on their website at Vintage Grooming Company. They also have beard oil and things of that nature for you guys that have beards. It runs $11.99 on their website. Now that might seem a little high for a 1 ounce thing, but honestly guys, that's right about the same price as any of the other waxes run. And they have free shipping and handling for 4 to 8 days shipping. So if you're not in a real hurry rush, it's a really good deal. I really do suggest trying out Death Grip for any handlebar mustache. If you like this review, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this review, go ahead and give me a thumbs down. Let me know down in mustache wax. Right off the bat, it's got a 2 ounce container. That means Compared to your standard mustache wax containers, you're starting off right at twice as much, which is definitely a plus. Comes in 2 different fragrances. This one happens to be the natural, and quite literally it smells like they just ground up a pine tree and put it in a container. It smells really good. I really like it, but it is rather strong when you first put it on, but it's not strong enough where you will be smelling it throughout the day. Their second fragrance is citrus and spice. I'm not quite sure what that would even smell like. I'm guessing kind of orangey-ish, but I don't know. If you guys have tried it, let me know down in the comment section what it smells like. Like 99% of the waxes that I try, it is 100% made in America. Now, unfortunately, the stickers have not fared very well through being in my pocket, but I'm going to read to you guys what the ingredients are just from what I can see and from my notes. So it's got beeswax, almond oil, coconut oil, fir needle oil, which is probably what gives it that really strong pine smell, and cedarwood oil. So pretty much it's a bunch of oils mixed in with beeswax to make it a little bit more pliable. Just like most waxes, it says to take your thumb and scrape a little bit off. It's really soft. Rub between fingers and apply.
And hold it vertically, straight up. Take a large section of hair. At least the size of a giant roller, and hold it vertically.
As you guys saw, I put quite a bit of wax in my mustache, and that's because these little hairs here and these ones down here that aren't quite fully growing yet from when I was trimming my mustache tend to not want to be controlled with this wax. And that can definitely be a bad thing because throughout the day I keep feeling them down here on my lips and it gets kind of annoying. If you're like me and you don't mind the more natural look, this definitely does that job. If you don't mind a few little straggly hairs here and there, it's a really decent wax. I'd have to say that this wax is pretty good, especially if you don't mind those few hairs that don't want to be exactly right where you want them to be. Just be warned that you will probably end up having to put it in a couple times a day if it's hot and muggy out, just because it does tend to not want to hold perfect all day long. Hopefully you guys all like this review. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't. Down in the comment section, 1 ounce tin. It's pretty much the standard 1 ounce tin for most of the companies. So I've been carrying this around with me for about 4 weeks now and been using it for that time as well. And the sticker has started to kind of fade. Basically all that it says on it is the Firehouse logo with their website, and it says tacky down below. This wax is definitely on the dark side. However, I've noticed that it does lighten up quite a bit once you put it in your mustache, and it actually almost dries clear. So it really doesn't matter what color mustache you have because it's gonna blend in pretty much no matter what. Now, this wax also does not have any fragrances or dyes to it, so it quite literally just smells like wax. And we'll get to the ingredients after I make up this mustache because I can't go any longer like this. few things about this wax now is that it is tacky, however it's not as tacky as Death Grip, which is nice because that means that you can carry this around in your pocket and you can actually use it if you need to, which honestly I really haven't needed to once I put it on, and not have any problems with it, not needing to heat it up with a blow dryer or something like that. So that is definitely nice. It is a little bit stiff, but you can warm it up pretty good in your hands. Now, something that I've noticed with a few of my other waxes, but honestly I've never mentioned it before, is clumping. And Firehouse definitely does clump, but I found out that mainly it's because of the brush. Because when you're brushing it through, it gets little clumps on the ends here, and then you're brushing it through and the clumps just kind of come off on your mustache. One way to get around that is by having something like a paper towel to be able to clean off your brush when you're brushing it through. Or maybe I just really need to put a lot less on at a time. That could be it too. Firehouse also tends to be one of those waxes that you really want to think ahead of time because it really needs some setting time. So once you put it in your mustache and you comb it all through and kind of style it how you want, you really need to let it sit for a little bit and then adjust things accordingly. So now on to the ingredients. Well, I'll tell you what, it's not on the front, it's not on the back, it's not on Amazon, and it's nowhere to be found on their website. So I got a hold of them rather late tonight, and I was not expecting a response tonight or even tomorrow or even ever, quite honestly, because, well, some companies just don't like getting back to me. But within about a half an hour, I got a wonderful response back from them. And basically what it comes down to is proprietary reasonings why they don't have the ingredients listed. However, she did send me a little bit of information of what's in it, and I'm going to quote that for you now. However, we don't mind telling you that it's a mixture of 3 different waxes along with a small amount of petroleum product. None of our waxes have any added fragrances or dyes. And both the color and scent come naturally from the waxes used. So that's good to know. There's nothing, I'm not putting biochemicals up on my mustache or something like that just to get them to hold in place. But it does have petroleum in it, so I'm guessing it's probably petroleum jelly, but it does say a small amount, so I'm guessing that's just to keep it malleable and so that you can actually move it and take some out with your thumb without having to warm it up significantly. Then she goes on to say that because I have a little bit of a lighter facial hair, that with an order, or I can email them and let them know when I buy some what color I would like, and they'll try to find a darker or lighter wax accordingly. So they are very accommodating of their customers. They have very good customer service. Like I said, it took her not even probably about a half an hour to get back to me, which is really awesome. So yeah, they're really nice, and they're so nice, in fact, that every tin that you buy, they donate 25 cents to a charity each year. And this year, they've got a little counter up on their website that says what they're up to for the year. And they've already donated like $2,600 or something like that to the Wounded Warrior Project, I do believe it was. And so that alone is really awesome of them to do, because they're giving back to their community and to the people that have helped serve the country, and that's just really cool to me. It runs about $9 to $11, I think, depending on if you buy it right from them or Amazon. A lot of times things like this on Amazon actually run higher than they do from the actual site. You couldn't work with a cooler company, I don't think, if you're looking for a good mustache wax. I mean, one that is pliable without having to heat up with a blow dryer, one that is definitely on the tacky side. And honestly, I'm probably going to end up ordering their other light and dark waxes just to see what the differences are in them, to let you guys know, because I know that not everybody likes the tacky waxes. So on that note, if you guys like this review and it helps you guys out, go ahead and give me a big old thumbs up. Look at Stache Bomb mustache wax. So right off the bat, as you guys can see, the cover label on this has pretty much disappeared except for a little bit around the edges. It pretty much came off in the first couple of weeks of it being in my pocket. However, I know what it is. You guys will just have to trust me that this is Stache Bomb original. And the nice thing is though that the back, it's still very clearly visible that it says their Facebook account, their directions, their address, and also their ingredients are on the back as well. It's got beeswax, petroleum, and a fragrance. And that's all that's in this. But the directions say to soften a pinch of wax and work it with your fingers, shape mustache, enjoy, keep the container in your pocket for best results, discontinue use if irritation develops. Now the original has kind of a piney outdoorsy smell, but it's not a really strong, like you can't really make it out as pine anyways compared to some of the other waxes that I've tried. It's not a very super strong smell. Stache Bomb is made in Portland, Maine, and they're very proud of that. They even have Maine inspired mustache wax, which is kind of interesting. So they're definitely proud of being made in Portland, which is pretty cool, because hey, why not have pride if you can, right? Now this is definitely a much softer wax, and it's almost a little bit too soft, and honestly I think that's probably because of the petroleum jelly in it. However, they do have a stiff that is supposed to be pretty much inspired by the original, so I may end up getting that to review later on. Now this stuff is soft enough that I don't think that I need the mirror to put it in, so I'm just going to use the camera, and well, let's get to it. You see, I just put a little bit on my thumb just like I always do. Rub it around in my fingers, start at the base. Alright, so as you see, I got my mustache done here. The ends tend to not really want to stick together really super well when I first put it in, so I end up usually carrying this around with me and fixing any little unruly hairs or the ends of them later on once the rest of the mustache kind of stiffens up and holds a little bit better. Stache Bomb actually has 7 or 8 different waxes, all of which, from what I can tell, are orderable by Amazon for right around $12. Now they've got this one here, which is their original one, the one that started it all. And then they've got Wicked, which is a Maine themed wax. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it'd be kind of interesting to get one just to see. They've got the Stiff, which is a stronghold. They've got a Bacon, an Apple, a fresh cut grass, and even a pumpkin spice. So those ones might be kind of interesting to get a hold of too in the future. Now I do like this wax. I do think that it's a pretty decent wax. However, I just don't think that it's just quite right for my mustache. But you can get all of these on Amazon. I do believe that they only sell on Amazon. I went to their website, which I will link down below, and whenever you go to buy one, it just links to an Amazon store. So I'm kind of guessing that that's the only place that they sell. So I do like this wax. I just think that it's not quite strong enough for the weight of my mustache. But if I had a shorter mustache, or I was beginning to grow my mustache, like if some of you guys out there are doing Movember this year, it'd be a great wax for you guys to try out and to start out on. If this review helped you out, don't forget to give me a big old thumbs up down below. Also, if you've Luvanesco right here, and Luvanesco sticker on the box as well. Now you might be saying, who the heck is Luvanesco? I never heard of them before. Well, they're actually a company out of the UK, and they make beard oils and mustache wax. And they contacted me saying, hey, you know, we're trying to have a bigger presence on YouTube, so we were looking at your videos and we would like to send you some of our product to review. So You know, I didn't think that they were actually going to send it. I've had a couple of people email me now, and honestly, nothing's ever came of it. But these guys did. And actually, the guy was very quick on responding to emails and was very understanding that I was going to be doing honest reviews, which is definitely a bonus. So like I said, they did send this to me for free. I'm not getting paid for it. And now let's check it out and let you guys see it before I do even. What I get. Oh. So, they sent a little card here. Open her up. There's a card. Feels like there's something else in here. Oh. And a little Luvanesco sticker. Just like the one that they had on the outside of their box there. So it says, welcome to Luvanesco. Evidently, I am an official member of Luvanesco.com. Present this membership card at any restaurant for up to 50% discount. What? I don't think this is valid in the US here. But that's pretty cool. Except for, they got you. It says, not really, down on the very corner there. That's a pretty good one. So, they even got a sense of humor. I like that. On the back here, it just basically has some of their information about what you can do. Like, it says their dates that they ship of each month for their monthly orders. You can change your kit, mailing address, or billing information anytime at their website. By the way, this is a subscription service. So basically what you do is you go, you sign up for your first order, and out of their, I think, 8 or 9 products, you can basically tell them what you want shipped to you when you want it shipped to you, which is definitely a plus if you're using their product all the time. They also sent a big old comb. And I think it's actually wood. Yeah, so they sent me a big old wood beard comb. I don't got the goatee to use it in right now. And it's definitely too big for the mustache, but that's still pretty cool. They sent me, what's this? Hydrating cream to hydrate the facial hair. Let's see what it smells like here. Ooh. Definitely is a bit creamy. Kind of has a nice lavender-ish smell. And then they also sent me a 15 ml thing of their mustache wax. All natural and organic. It's almost in like a small lip balm container. I honestly don't even know what this smells like. It's pretty interesting. So now I've showed you guys what this came within this box here. Why don't we go to future Justin and see what he has to say about these products. Thank you very much, Justin, from 2 weeks ago. First off, I want to correct you on a couple of things. The hydrating cream is actually for the skin and not for facial hair. I thought that it was back then because, well, they sent me mustache wax stuff and everything on their website is pretty much for the mustache and beard. So I did get that wrong. And I also got wrong what it smelled like. It's not lavender. I don't know why I thought that. It definitely has a very lemony scent to it. And I've actually used a bit of this. It really doesn't take much to cover a lot. I usually just kind of put my finger in there like that, rub it on there, and I've been using it on my face and my nose because during the winter here my nose kind of gets dry. And it's done a really good job of keeping my nose moisturized as well as my head during the last few cold weeks that we've had. Now they say that they use only natural ingredients. Well, I'm going to go ahead and post a picture right now and show you guys that there's a lot of ingredients in this, and I'm not sure if they're all actually truly natural or not. So you guys will have to let me know down below, because I see things in here like ethyl oxyglycerin. I have no idea what that is, so if you guys can let me know down below, let me know if it truly is, you know, an all-natural ingredient or not. Now I did actually contact the company to find out if this was supposed to be for the facial hair or for the skin. And well, I got a response back pretty quickly, like I did most of their emails, and they said that is definitely for the skin. Why they called it hydrating cream instead of moisturizing cream, I'm not really sure. I guess it's all the same thing, but the hydrating really kind of threw me off because, like I said, everything that they have on their website is mostly for beards. They definitely have a nice, decent product to help moisturize your skin. Now, onto their very small mustache wax. Unfortunately, there's very little wax in this and a lot of oils. The first ingredient is natural beeswax. It also has shea butter, sunflower seed oil, orange essential oil, and cedar wood essential oil in it. So there's a lot of oils in here. And as you're going to see now, as I apply it, it's not really going to hold my mustache up into any sort of style. It just kind of makes it so that it is a little bit more tamed. Now, I personally wouldn't really call this a wax. I'm not quite sure what I would call it. However, I think if I wasn't trying to style my mustache and I just needed it to go down to like a beard, this would actually work pretty well. Just know that this is definitely not a styling wax. Also, this does only come in a 1/2 ounce container. I thought that it was kind of small, but now that I realize what kind of wax it is and what it's actually meant to do, this should actually last you quite a while. Now, I was really hoping that this was going to be a good styling wax. I would like to see them add one. If they do add one, I would be more than happy to do a review on it for them. Now, their slogan on the website is one-stop shop to keeping your appearance on point. Well, a lot of guys with beards really like the handlebar look, and this mustache wax just doesn't do it, so I don't think that they can really fully claim that yet. Hopefully in the future they'll add a true styling wax into it. Some of the other products that they do carry is a beard balm, a wash for the beard, a conditioner, this mustache wax, a hydrating cream, and a comb, which I showed you guys earlier. Also, one thing that I noticed is that their products don't have a description on the website as far as what they're made out of and things that you might want to know if you're ordering from them. Also, their website does not do an auto conversion when you're buying their products. So if you're based in the US or anywhere else, you're not going to be able to see how much you're paying in your currency. The bank, however, will automatically take care of that issue when you place your order. Now, when they shipped this out from the UK, it actually got out to me within a week, which I was really surprised about, even with customs. I figured that it would probably take at least a week and a half to 2 weeks. I do think that Luvanesco probably has some good products for the beard. The main disappointment that I had was that I've been doing these mustache waxes for quite a while, and so I was looking for something to be able to style with, and my idea of what a mustache wax is just differs a little bit from what theirs is. So other than that, if I would have known that it was just kind of a slight styling wax, I'm completely happy with this product for that purpose. I'd like to thank Luvanesco for sending me out these products to check out and to try out, and hopefully they're not going to be mad at me and will send me a mustache wax if they get one for styling, because I would really like to try it. If this review helped you guys out at all, give me a big thumbs up down below. It helps me out a lot. Also, leave me a comment down below. That I do a review on is Mr. Natty's Mustache Twizzle Wax. And well, I've been using this for about a month now, and I think it's time to give it a review. First off, it comes in this little box, which is definitely different. All my other waxes have just came in a little plastic bag just for shipping, or not even in that. So having a little box with writing and print all the way around it is definitely different. Definitely makes this product stand out a little bit more than some of the other ones do. On the front, you just have Mr. Natty's Mustache Twizzle Wax logo. On one side, you've got the how to use. On this side here, you got empires are built with this. Don't know the historical significance in that, but I'm kind of thinking that might not be completely true. Anyways, This side we've got ingredients, and then 100% natural formulation. And then on the back, you've got what I believe to be the same thing, but possibly in French. Once you open it, you have a 1/2 ounce tin. Now, granted, it used to have their logo on it, and it's been in my pocket for the last month, so sorry about that. One thing that I thought was interesting is that this is $13 for a 1/2 ounce wax, which kind of a little bit more than I usually like to spend on wax, but I had a couple of people request this, so I figured why not. One other thing about the box is that it's actually got kind of a pine smell to it. It kind of smells like somebody took one of those little air fresheners and rubbed it all over the box. It's a pleasant smell. However, it smells nothing like the wax itself, which was a disappointment because the wax itself, well, it kind of smells like candle wax mixed with a little bit of lavender. And I was rather disappointed on that because I was kind of hoping it was going to be pine smell. Now, I've been using this for just about a month, and I've still got quite a bit of wax in here, so it really doesn't take that much even to get my handlebars under control. Well, now, let me apply this, and I'll be right back. Empires are built with this. A natty little tin to pop in your pocket for emergency mustache twizzling. As Mr. Natty is an international jet setter, we made this max more robust than most in order to tackle both the hottest and coolest of climates. Whether you are climbing Everest or trekking the Sahara on camels, by jingo, your stiff upper lip will stay in pristine condition. Now the directions say, work your finger around the tin to create some heat. Then, with your thumb and forefinger, twizzle the wax into your tache in your own natty style. So a few things about this wax is that I think that it takes a little bit more to get the ends to stick together. And as you see, I have it a little bit thinner, about halfway up than I usually do. And that's because it kind of seems like if I don't, then nothing from here out really wants to stay where I have it. So I usually end up having to put a little bit more on the ends and making the ends about halfway down a little bit thinner than I usually do. I've also had a problem with it wanting to leave little white specks in when after I pull the comb through it. So the very last thing that I have to do is rub my fingers through it because I've noticed that for some reason this kind of likes to clump up in the comb and will leave little white specks all over it and just kind of makes it look like my mustache has dandruff, and that is never flattering. Now the ingredients in this are pretty simple. It's got beeswax, it's got a little olive oil, it's got a little shea butter, it's got a little bit of glycerin, and it also has a little bit of lavender oil just for a little bit of a smell. That smell does not bug me whatsoever. It's not very strong at all. Now it is a stronghold. It's probably really close to Firehouse mustache wax, which is definitely a good thing. However, I find Firehouse to be a little bit easier to style. Also, this wax is much different than a lot of the other waxes that I do because, well, unlike those, this one's not made in America. This is actually made in the UK, which I suppose they have mustaches too. So it's not a bad thing that they have a option for, you know, mustache wax. So all in all, I like this wax. It's not too bad. I still like Firehouse a little bit more for how strong it is. But for somebody that likes a more waxy wax, this is kind of like a candle. I mean, even when I'm pulling it up on my finger, it gives me the consistency of like a soft candle, which some people may like, just not really my forte. I really, it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just a thing. If this review helps you out at all, give me a big thumbs up down below. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. I told you guys that it just wasn't quite stiff enough for what I like. And, well, I also told you guys that I wanted to get a hold of their stiff wax. So I got a hold of them and they sent me out this one and a couple others to try out as well. I'll tell you about them at the end of the video. Now the difference between the stiff and the original is not really much. It's more of a recipe change. What I mean by that is they're both made out of beeswax, petroleum, and a fragrance added. So what they pretty much did for the stiff is they took out a little bit of the petroleum, added some more beeswax, and well, you just get a stiffer wax just by doing that. Now if you haven't seen my other review, StacheBomb is made in Portland, Maine. The fragrance is a very nice and pleasant pine woodsy smell. It's not overpowering and you're not going to end up smelling it throughout the day. It seems like it's just enough fragrance to be able to cover up any of the natural beeswax or petroleum smell that it might have. Now the directions to use this are pretty much the same as all of them, but I'll read it to you anyway. It says soften a pinch of wax and work it with your fingers. Shape mustache, enjoy. Keep the container in your pocket for best results. Discontinue use if irritation develops. I've never had a problem with any of these mustache waxes giving me any irritation or anything. The wax itself is tacky. It is yellow, so it may end up giving you kind of a yellowish tint if you have a white mustache. I'm going to do up my mustache and I'll be right back. And there we go. I have to say, this is a really nice stiff hold. It holds very nicely. I think that this wax is a really nice wax. The only downside that I can find so far on it is that it takes a little bit more to wash out than some of the other waxes do, but it's still a really good wax. Well, I took this to a fire training and it's all that I needed. I didn't need to put in any extra. You know, every now and then I would have to kind of tweak my mustache a little bit, but that's because I was doing physical activities. So that's going to be expected with any wax. It's got a really nice strong hold. If you're looking for something that's going to last you the majority, if not all of the day, I do highly recommend StacheBomb. I would have to say that before you go with something like Firehouse that is just really super tacky and really super strong, give StacheBomb Stiff a try. Now you might be saying, Justin, where do I pick up myself some StacheBomb? Well, that would be Amazon. You can go to their website at www.stachebomb.com. However, when you go to purchase it, it just brings you back to Amazon anyway. Now I really like this wax, but for some reason there's some really bad reviews on the Amazon site for this. I'm not really sure why. I'm kind of thinking by what they were complaining about, I think it's that they didn't warm it up enough. But one guy said that he took a lighter to it and it still wasn't soft enough and stuff like that. Well, because I live in North Dakota, it gets cold up in my room at night, and in the morning all I have to do is hold this in my hand like this for a couple of minutes, you know, move my hands, get a little bit of friction going on there, and I can make up my stash perfectly fine. So I'm not really sure what it was that they were doing wrong or what their issue was, but I'll tell you what, I have not had any problem at all applying this ever. Well guys, they sent me two more. They sent me Wicked Good and Bacon. Yeah, that's right. They have got mustache wax that smells like bacon. How awesome is that? Love bacon. So I will be doing a review of both of these in one review here coming up. Now this review helps you guys out at all. Make sure you give me a big old thumbs up down below in the comment section. While you're down there, take a look at Lucky Frank's mustache wax. Now Lucky Frank's is a heavy hold mustache wax and it is unscented, which means the only thing I smell in this is the beeswax and the natural scents that the ingredients have. Well, to apply this, it's pretty much the same as all waxes, and you just want to get a little bit on your thumbnail and warm it up in your fingers and put it on. Lucky Frank's contains beeswax, coconut oil, lanolin oil, and a product called Micro Wax. Now I actually had to look this one up because I've never seen this product in any other of my waxes, at least not mentioned. What it is it's a petroleum product. It's not like petroleum jelly like what you see in most of the waxes to kind of keep them soft. It's actually a product that's used a lot in candle making and stuff. So if you don't like to have petroleum products in your mustache, this might not be for you. I don't really notice it. It doesn't dry out my mustache at all. It doesn't have any bad side effects to it. Now there are a couple of things I've noticed with Lucky Frank. It is kind of hard for me to get a natural looking mustache. It likes to cling to itself, so it likes your hair to be nice and close. The little hairs really don't like to go where I tell them to, but it may just be the hairs themselves and have nothing to do with the wax. Because I have the same issue at the very tips. One thing that I want to note as well is that the sticker is not worn out. There are some paint chips from around the actual tin itself. The sticker is still nice, so I'm not going to have any problem telling on my shelf of waxes back here which one is my Lucky Frank's. If you're looking for a wax that holds good, that's at a great price, this here is twice as much for the 13 bucks that you're going to get for most other waxes. And it's a great hold. And honestly, look at this. I've hardly used any of it in the last month. I think that this 2 ounce would probably end up lasting me probably at least 4 months easy. Now I do like Lucky Frank's. I think that it holds my mustache great. I do have to adjust it every now and then, but it does hold up throughout the day as long as I'm not like out in the 30-mile-an-hour winds that we get here in North Dakota. I would like to thank Lucky Frank's as well because they did send me this wax and this sweet shirt, and even better, they sent me a real buffalo horn comb for my mustache. If you want to know more about that, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below because I'm going to be doing 2 how-tos for mustache care. And if this review has helped you out at all, make sure you give me a big old thumbs up down below. It helps the channel out and me out a lot. And waxes from the Bearded Bastard. Now usually I only review 1 wax a month, and that is because every wax is pretty much different as far as ingredients and stuff like that, and it takes me a little while to get used to and figure out the pros and cons of each wax. Now all 3 of these waxes are the same strength by the same company and all have the same ingredients, which I'll get to here in a few minutes. So that is why I actually reviewed 3 of them this month opposed to just 1. Now Bearded Bastard is made in Austin, Texas, which of course, me being American, I love my American-made products. They all came in a 1 ounce tin with the friction lid on it. And they all came with a wonderful laser cut front logo. And on the back, they have a sticker that did not wear out in the week or week and a half that I used them. Now on 2 of the 3 waxes, the sticker on the back was not centered correctly. So I ended up with this little flappy piece that was kind of annoying, but I really didn't notice it that much when I was taking it in and out of my pockets. I'm going to make up my mustache now and tell you guys a little bit more about the wax. These 3 waxes all have the same ingredients, which are beeswax, lanolin, natural fragrance, cocoa butter, and jojoba oil. The scents of these came in are Woodsman, that has a strong cedar smell to it, Simply Vanilla, which has a very light vanilla smell to it. It's very nice and not overpowering at all. And Barbershop, which they say is reminiscent of eucalyptus, lavender, bay rum aftershave, and tobacco. Now they have 3 other scents as well, and those are Morocco, Opium Den, and Barista. Now just like all waxes that are natural beeswax yellow, you're really going to have to make sure that you work the wax through your mustache so that if it does tend to lighten up your mustache like it does mine, that there's no streaks or lighter areas. Now all 3 of these waxes are competition style waxes, which means that they are a stiff hold. And honestly, I would have to agree with that. They held up pretty much all day for me, which is definitely nice because I hate having to always adjust my mustache all the time. Now because these are competition waxes, I do suggest having something like a blow dryer to be able to help style it like I did. They're not quite as stiff as a couple of my other waxes, but they definitely did a good job in holding up all day. Now there is something, however, that they definitely went above and beyond than any other wax has. And that is the way that these came packaged. It really was an experience because they went above and beyond and had a nice box with their stamp on it and have this little fake wood chips cardboard stuff. And I do think that that does need a little bit of props given to them because they did go above and beyond. So to you, bearded bastard, good job. Now I have to say that I really did not notice any difference in the hold or the application of any of these. So when I say that the ingredients are the same, I mean they are the same down to how much of each ingredient they used. And I'm really happy to see that in batches they are able to make them all the same. And lastly, just to let you guys know, I did not pay for these. Bearded Bastard did send me them out to review, and it does not make my bias go one way or the other if a company does or does not send me a review. I let people know what I think of the products that I use. I'm not getting any money or anything like that for them, just the products themselves. So if you guys are looking for a wax, I do suggest checking out the Bearded Bastard. And also, if you got a beard, check out some of their beard products. I'm sure that they're just as high quality as their mustache wax is. This review helped you out at all, make sure you give me a big old thumbs up down below. Leave me a comment, let me know what wax you think that I should review. So that means it is definitely time to put some wax in it. So what are we looking at today? Well, we are going to be taking a look at WIllies mustache wax. First off, just like most of the waxes that are made in the good old USA, this one is made by hand right in Georgia. WIllies comes in a 2-ounce screw-off lidded tin, and it even comes with a little scraper here. Now, when I first saw it, I was like, really, I'm probably never going to use this. However, this is a little bit more sticky than most of my other waxes are. So the directions are just like most, as just to take a little bit. And what I've been doing is I've been loading it up a little bit extra and then taking it and putting about half of it on my finger, rubbing it in to warm it up, and start in the center and work my way out. The ingredients in this wax include shea butter, yellow beeswax, sweet almond oil, pine resin, tea tree essential oil, as well as rosemary essential oil. Now there are a couple of things about this wax being on the softer side. I would have to say that it is probably a medium firm, not a full firm, because it just doesn't seem to give me that I'm not going anywhere feel most of the day, and I do usually end up having to fix it a couple of times. Now that being said, I do have to say that being more of a tacky wax, it does a pretty good job of holding the hairs where you want them. However, I do suggest doing your mustache up probably about a half an hour before you go out, and about 20 minutes into that, check your mustache, make sure that there's no little hairs out of place. Like I got this one here, and then I will go and fix that at that time, because it does seem that once it starts drying out a little bit, probably the essential oils are still, pretty wet when you put them in. Well, once those start to kind of dry out just a little bit, you have a little bit more control about your styling. If you're going to carry WIllies, I highly suggest making sure that you bring the tin with you, just in case if you do need to do those little touch-ups on the fly. And make sure that you have something to wipe your fingers off on, because, like I said, it is a tackier wax. Now, WIllies does not add any preservatives, colorings, any of that stuff, and that includes fragrances. So therefore, WIllies does have kind of a smell to it. It's not the greatest smell in the world, but what I think I'm smelling is probably the pine resin, which does tend to have kind of a weird smell to it. Now this being a 2-ounce container, it goes for $17, which is a little bit pricier than what I like to see for a 2-ounce container. However, I have seen 1 ounces for right about the same price. And if you don't feel like doing your whole mustache for one reason or another, but still don't feel like getting food in your mouth when you eat, Wild Willies has this little stick here that is really good for just kinda putting on your lower hairs here, like so, to help keep those hairs right out of your mouth. And this has kind of a minty smell to it, as well as a minty flavor. You're probably not supposed to eat this stuff, but it's all natural, so it ain't gonna hurt you if you get a little on your lips. This is a medium hold, so it's not going to be really great for holding up your, handlebars. However, it is just enough hold to keep those little hairs out of your mouth. And it comes in a little thing, kind of like a little chapstick container, and you can either just rub it on like I do, like this, or you can go ahead and just kind of peel off a little bit with your nail and do like you would any other wax. Now overall, I do think that Wild Willies is a decent product, probably just not for you big handlebar guys out there, because it's not quite as firm as it should be to be able to really keep these bad boys in place. However, if you've got a smaller mustache or smaller handlebars, I do suggest giving Wild Willies a try. I do think that you will like their product. I'd like to thank Wild Willies for sending me this out to review. I did not get paid. All I got was a product for an honest review, and therefore that is all that I give you guys. So if this review helps you guys out at all, make sure you give me a big old thumbs up down below. Hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment down. It has Beard Care's sample size, and not only can I get this, but you guys can too. Now this was not enough wax to really truly last me 30 days, and I like to do my reviews for a full month. However, I use this one about every other day to every other 2 days, depending on whenever I went out. So I do have a little bit left, and it's really not that much, but I wanted to show you guys. It's got a slight off-white color to it. Now the smell to this is a cedar lemon. However, I mostly smell the lemon, and it's not an overpowering smell. Now with every order that you make, including the free samples, Badass Beard Care sends out a card that's got some of their products listed on one side and instructions for some of their products. But on this card here, it's also got a little pick. Now this little pick will come in real handy when you're trying to get down into the little parts of the sample size container, or I suppose any of their containers really. So I'm just gonna scratch off a little bit here. So this wax, they say, is a medium hold wax, but I would have to say that it's actually on the stronger side of medium hold, as it holds very well. This wax warms up fairly nicely. The ingredients for this wax include shea butter, coconut oil, coconut butter, yellow beeswax, lanolin, apricot oil, argan oil, jojoba oil, pure vitamin E, rosemary oil, eucalyptus oil, and tea tree oil. It is scented with pine needle, orange, lemon, and vanilla as well. Even though this wax is a stronger medium hold, it is a natural hold, so it's not going to really want to keep your points at a point. It just more kind of conditions the hair to stay where you want it to kind of go. Now for a wax that isn't meant to hold aggressive curls like mine, I'm pleasantly surprised and think that actually it holds them pretty well. I usually only had to redo them or put extra wax on them about once a day. The guy emailed me and told me, hey, this product is not for large curls and stuff like that. It's basically just to keep your hair out of your mouth. So if you would just keep that in mind while you're reviewing it, that'd be great. And well, I did. And therefore, I actually like this product. Not that I wouldn't like it without the email, but just the fact that they don't claim anything that they don't think that they can live up to is definitely a good thing in my book. So I'd have to say, if you've got a beard and you've got a mustache with it, like most people that have beards do, and you just need to keep the little hairs out of your mouth and to the side or have small curls, I do suggest checking out Badass Beard Care and check out all their other products that they have for you bearded folk as well. Not only is Badass Beard Care made in America, but it's also veteran owned. So I definitely highly suggest, If you guys are looking for beard products, go check them out, even if it's just to support a veteran. They believe so much in their product that they actually send out free samples like I mentioned earlier. So make sure to check down in the description and get yours. Because why not? It's free and chances are you're going to like their product and then you can order from them. I'd like to thank Badass Beard Care for sending me out some samples to review. And well, if you would like to see the rest of the samples that they sent me, make sure you hit that subscribe button. 15-ounce containers. So it's about the same amount that you get out of like a chapstick container. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this Imperial in my mustache. Now when you go to take wax out to do your mustache, you push it up like so, and you can't just take your thumb all the way across it. I found out that it's much better to take a side, take another side, and then take the center. The ingredients that Beard Baron uses is beeswax, lanolin, and jojoba oil. The Imperial scent is amber, cherry, and tobacco, and the Waikiki is orange, coconut, and kiwi. Now both the Imperial and the Waikiki both go in very nicely. They tend to cover the hairs nicely and I don't end up having a bunch of chunks in there, which is definitely a plus. However, I did notice that the Imperial actually still had some very small chunks of beeswax, and that very well could just be this batch. It was just like the beeswax didn't quite melt all the way before they did their mixing and pouring. It really wasn't that big of a deal because I just had to warm it up in my hand for a few more seconds than I needed to for the Waikiki, and it was perfectly fine. Now for the scent, you have the Imperial, which is a very strong scent. It is so strong, in fact, that it was commented on a couple of times when I was applying it from somebody else in the house. Now, I don't think that they were able to smell it when I just walked into the room or something like that. However, when it's in its concentrated form in the container and you open it up to apply it, it is very strong. The Waikiki has a pleasant fruit kind of a smell to it, and it is not as strong when you go to apply it. Now each tube sells for $8 a piece, which is kind of expensive when you look at it from the point of that it's 0.15 ounces opposed to like a $12 to $16 full ounce container. However, this wax is pretty good and it holds fairly well. I've only had to add just a little bit to like my tips or the inner lip here when I was out and about. But considering that it's a medium hold, I would have to say that it's on the firmer side of medium. I think that if you are a full bearded man and you just want to have a little bit of definition in your mustache, I definitely suggest checking out Beard Baron and their other products. Now, I do like their product. I think that their scents are very good, although possibly a little bit on the strong side. I'd like to thank Beard Baron for sending me out their Waikiki and their Imperial mustache wax for me to review and give you guys my thought. If this review helped you guys out, make sure you give me a big old thumbs up down below. Hit that subscribe button. And today we're taking a look at Dub's mustache cream. And this cream, just like most of the waxes that I review, is made in America. This one happens to be made in Southern California. Dubs comes in a 1 ounce screw off lid tin container, and it is a little bit different than a lot of the waxes that I've tried because it's not so much waxy as it is almost more of a clay. The directions read, open the tin to press down in the middle with your index finger to create a well in the wax. Scoop out enough for one side at a time, rub it in between your thumb and index finger to create a ball. Apply it gently through the mustache. Use a comb if needed. Shape your mustache if desired. Last 30 days I have used 3 of their 4 scents. I used cream, which is like a lavender. I used citrus wood and bay rum. The one that I have not tried is their natural, and I'm guessing it just doesn't smell like anything. Dub's mustache creams are all made with organic ingredients such as beeswax, oils, glycerin, and essential oils, probably for the scent. They do not add any coloring, and all of their creams are rated at a firm hold and used in many competitions. Now I do find this wax kind of hard to get kind of a more natural, firm hold to it. However, I think that it still looks pretty decent, and it's not hard to take the comb again and kind of separate those to the point and then take the comb out to give you kind of a more fuller looking mustache. Now there are a couple of drawbacks to the Dubs mustache wax. One, it does take a little bit more to remove it completely out of your mustache. However, it's not really super hard. I just use my wax remover that I did a review on a few months back, and I'll apply it once, let it sit for a few minutes, apply it again, let it sit, and then I'll go and take my shower, and the hot water will usually rinse out the rest of whatever's left. The second thing is that you're definitely going to want to use a comb. Unfortunately, you're kind of prone to having little chunks in your mustache. So what I do is once I do up my mustache and I get everything all situated, I will wipe off any excess that's on the comb, and then I'll comb through my mustache a couple more times and restyle it, and then I usually don't have any problems. So you definitely don't go gung-ho with this stuff because it's just going to be that much more that you're going to be wasting. Dubs is also really easy to restyle if you go outside and it's really windy or somehow or another, you're playing with your kids, whatever the case may be, and your mustache ends up going wonky. It's really easy just to go back, restyle it without even adding any more wax. I'd say that Dubs all around is a really good wax for you to try, especially if you have larger handlebars and want to be able to do maybe some weirder styling with it. I think that if I was to curl my curls all the way up into circles, I'm pretty sure that Dubs would hold it perfectly fine. If this review helped you out at all, make sure you give me a big thumbs up down below. While you're down there, leave me a comment. In a 1 ounce tin with about 0.75 ounces of product inside. Now their logo and everything is not actually a sticker, it is painted on, which is definitely different than most of the waxes that I've reviewed. But as you see, it definitely scratched off well in my pocket. This wax consists of castor oil, beeswax, vegetable oil, shea butter, carnauba wax, jojoba oil, orange peel oil, sunflower with vitamin E oil, vanilla extract, and some natural gum extract as well. Now Badger Mustache Wax says that they're a medium hold, and I would have to agree with that 100% because this wax does hold pretty well. However, when I go outside, if I'm active, if I'm doing stuff, it does tend to want to droop on me a little bit. However, it does stay pretty tacky throughout the day, so it's really simple just to pull one of those and everything's back in alignment where it should be. Now Badger is also certified organic, and along with that they have went the extra steps to become cruelty-free, GMO-free, gluten-free as well. Now I forgot to mention this earlier, however the scent of this wax is pretty much just the ingredients. There is a very little bit of vanilla in there, but it's not really enough to really make it smell like vanilla wax. This wax is really simple to use. It's just like most other waxes, you scrape a little bit onto your thumb, and it is just the right consistency where you can easily control how much wax you get on your thumbnail to be able to apply it. Now along with being a waxy consistency, this also has a significant amount of tack in it, which is definitely a plus for really holding some of those stubborn hairs where you want them to stay. Now with it being a semi-tacky wax, I have found that it can be kind of hard to make sure that you keep that natural looking mustache. However, if you want to have nice tight tips like that, it is definitely a good wax for that. Just keep in mind that if you do like the natural look like I kind of tend to lean towards, you're going to have to kind of work with the wax to be able to get that the way that you want it. Now you can get this on the website for about $10, or I believe I found a place on Amazon that it may be a couple dollars lower, and I'll put that affiliate link down below as well. Now do I think that you should try out Badger? Well, I honestly don't see why not. If you're looking for a medium hold and something that's a little bit on the tacky side, Badger fits that profile, so I say why not. That being said, I'd like to thank Badger for sending me out this wax to review, along with some other products and a really cool shirt that unfortunately I'm too fat to fit in. But thank you guys very much. So if this review helps you out, please give me a big thumbs up down below. Let me know down in the comments section what product you grease. Yes, that is right, I said cock grease. Although it's got a funny name, it's actually got a pretty good hold. Cock grease comes in your standard 1 ounce friction hold tin, and as you can see, the labeling has started to kind of rub off in my pocket. Now, cock grease doesn't have any added scent to it, which means the only thing that you really smell is the beeswax that's in it. It's not a really super strong smell, so once you get it on the mustache, you really don't even notice it. Now, cock grease does use a lot of beeswax in it, which means that it has a very waxy feel to it. The ingredients in this mustache wax are petroleum, beeswax, coconut oil, shea butter, and gum arabic. Now, just like all mustache wax that has a very waxy feeling to it, you're going to want to make sure that when you're combing through that you don't have a bunch of little white specks of wax on. Otherwise, it kind of looks like you have dandruff in your mustache, and you just don't want that. And one way that I've combated that is while I'm brushing through with my comb, I go ahead and put my blow dryer on about medium, and I will comb through it while I'm blow drying it. And what that helps with is it helps keep any large chunks off of the comb, and it also melts it into your stash, so you get a very nice even covering of mustache wax without having any chunks. And due to that, it does take a little bit longer to make sure that your stash is done up right. Cock grease says that this is an extra stiff hold. I would have to disagree with that and say that this is closer to a stiff hold, just because I do have waxes behind me that are stiffer. That being said, I do like this wax because it is pliable, and what that means is that if I go outside and my mustache gets messed up because of the wind or whatever, all it takes to fix it is to run my comb through my stash a couple of times, and it goes back to looking just like it did beforehand. Now, as you notice, this wax has very few ingredients, which I definitely like. This wax comes in right about $14. I would say if you're looking for a stiffer hold mustache wax, definitely check out cock grease. I'd like to thank cock grease for sending me out their mustache wax for me to review for them. If this review helped you out, make sure you give me a big thumbs up down below. Hit that subscribe button for reviews and more each. It comes in a 1 ounce tin like most mustache waxes do. And you'll also see that the logo as well as the instructions on the back have just about all worn off in my pocket. It has a standard unscrew lid on it. However, for some reason this lid is kind of screwed up and it doesn't like to screw on very well. I can just push it on and tighten it up. However, I think that's just a fault in the manufacturing of the tin and not really their fault at all. Now to get to the wax itself, it has a scent of bay leaf and tobacco, and it is fairly strong. However, it does dissipate throughout the day. The color of the wax is a normal beeswax, very light yellow. Now the texture is very beeswaxy, but has a nice tack to it. Now you use this wax just like you do any other by taking a small amount on your thumbnail, rolling it into a little ball, and then applying it into your mustache. The ingredients in WSP's mustache wax are beeswax, shea butter, jojoba oil, avocado, apricot kernel, and grapeseed oils. As you've seen, just like any other really waxy textured mustache wax, I did use my blow dryer on it just to warm up the wax once it's in the mustache a little bit so that you won't get chunks or light spots. If you saw last week's review, you can see on, I believe it's this side, I definitely had a lighter spot in my mustache, and that's because I didn't warm it up enough to really be able to brush it all the way through the hair very well. Now when I read normal hold on this lid, I definitely thought that it was going to be closer to like a regular medium hold. However, I would have to say that this would be in the strong, medium, to even a strong hold mustache wax. It held my mustache very well in place all day long with no troubles. And because of how well their normal hold held, I'm really looking forward to their Hercules hold, which I'll review soon. I would like to thank WSP for sending me their normal hold along with some other products for me to review for you guys. If this review helped you out at all, please give me a big thumbs up down below. Hit that subscribe button for more reviews just like this month. I used Hercules hold by Wet Shaving Products. This wax comes in a 1 ounce screw lid tin container. And as you can see, the logo and the directions and ingredients has worn off quite a bit being in my pocket. The scent that this comes in is called Barbershop, and it's kind of a musky kind of scent to it. It's got a few different things in it, but I smell the musk scent the most. The texture is very beeswaxy and balls up very easily in your fingers. Now, because this is a strong beeswax based wax, you're definitely going to want to apply a little bit at a time, as I found out this last month. You're going to definitely want to have one of these. A blow dryer will definitely help that wax to not bunch up on the comb that you're using, and it really helps it to really surround all of the hairs to hold them where you want them. Hercules mustache wax includes beeswax, shea butter, jojoba oil, avocado oil, apricot kernel oil, and grapeseed oil. I have to say that if you're looking to buy the Hercules hold, a blow dryer is an absolute necessity, because anytime that I tried to do it without a blow dryer, I ended up having little white flakes and little white chunks in my mustache because I just couldn't get the beeswax warm enough to be able to apply it cleanly without having a heat source. That being said, if you're going to get this, definitely make sure that it's in the budget to get a blow dryer, or borrow your girlfriend's or your wife's or your sister's or something like that. The only real downside to using this wax is the application time because of needing to use a blow dryer. It does take a little longer to be able to get it to look just right where you don't have little flakes and stuff. But once it's in, it holds very well. And unfortunately, because of the time that it took to apply it nicely, I found it myself not applying my mustache wax quite as often. However, when I did take the time to apply it correctly and make it look nice, this wax holds up very well. So if you don't mind taking a little while to apply your mustache wax in the morning, I would highly suggest checking out Hercules Hold if you're looking for a strong hold mustache wax. I'd like to thank WSP for sending me out the products to review for you guys. If this review helped you out, please give me a big thumbs up down below. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments. Loma Wax comes in a 1 ounce screw tin container. Now the scent to this product is pretty much the same that they have for all of their products, and it contains Canadian black spruce essential oils along with vetiver and grapefruit as well. And it's definitely kind of an odd smell, but it is a fairly pleasant smell and it does dissipate fairly quickly. Now when you go to remove the wax, I noticed that it is a fairly smooth wax and it actually comes out of the tin fairly nicely and applies really nicely as well. The ingredients in this mustache wax include beeswax, vitamin E, jojoba oil, shea butter, olive oil, carnauba wax, essential oils of amber, Canadian black spruce, grapefruit, and vetiver. Now one thing that I was concerned about this wax is that it wasn't going to actually be a strong hold, just because of how smooth and soft the wax is when it comes right out of the tin. However, I was wrong, and it is definitely a strong hold. It's not a super strong hold like, let's say, the Death Grip is. However, it is definitely over a medium hold, so I would have to say that it's probably in about the lighter side of a stiff hold wax. But with that trait, it also means that you don't have to have a blow dryer to warm it up or to apply it at all. It's also soft enough that I don't have that many problems with the clumping when I brush it through. I did end up having a couple, however, you can rub them out and get them to disappear fairly easily just using your fingers. I would have to say that this month was rather enjoyable using the Loma Wax. I'd like to thank Loma Wax for sending me out this mustache wax to do an honest review for you. Now, if you'd like to pick up some Stronghold mustache wax from Loma, it sells for $15 on their website, and I will have that link down below for you guys. If this review helped you out at all, please give me a big thumbs up down below. Hit that subscribe button for more reviews just like it, and waxes that I've been using. Today we're going to take a look at Bossman Mud Training Wax. This wax comes in a 0.75 ounce glass container with a plastic screw-off lid. The scent that they sent me is called Stagecoach, and it's a sweet tobacco, bourbon, and leather scent. There's a little hint of leather in there, however, mostly what I smell is the bourbon and sweet tobacco. This wax has a off-white color to it. Now what sets this wax apart from most other waxes that I review is the fact that it is actually water-based. That means that it doesn't have a lot of beeswax in it. Now beeswax is definitely in the ingredients, however, there's not much of it. Now I noticed that because it is water-based, it definitely washes out of the stash pretty easily. It doesn't have a waxy texture to it. It's actually more of a cream texture. Now the directions say to take a little bit on your finger and to start from the inside and work your way out, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and put the ingredients list up on the screen for you because honestly I can't pronounce most of them anyway, and most of them tend to be things like sterile alcohols from vegetables. There's some coconut and glycerin mix in there, and a few skin conditioners and things like that. Things that you see in just about everything. However, I did want to point out that there is polysorbate 80, and when I was doing my research on what exactly this stuff was, that one kind of threw up a red flag from a couple of different companies. However, I'm not too worried about it, and it is basically made out of sugars and a natural fat. And what it does is it gives a creamy look and blend and kind of bonds all the ingredients together. As you may have seen, I did not need anything like a blow dryer or anything to warm up the wax to be able to put it in my stash. However, I do have a couple of tips for you. Even though that it's easy to apply directly to stash, what you're definitely going to want to do is get enough that it almost seems like it's too much, but with the nice creamy texture that this has, it's not as much as you may think that it is. So what you want to do is you want to start out from the inside and work your way out to the tips. Once you do that, take your comb, your brush, whatever, and comb it every which way, just to really get it blended in and get it wrapped around each one of those hairs really good. And then once you've got your mustache the way that you want it to, if you want to really make those tips nice, prim, and proper, you can go ahead, take a little bit more of the training wax on your fingers, kind of rub it around a little bit. Don't do a lot though. And then you can just kind of get a really nice pointy tips on your mustache. So what happens if you don't quite get enough wax on your fingers when you're applying it and you leave the house? It's going to dry out and you're going to end up with more of a natural looking mustache. Now, even though that you need to apply it once, you're probably going to need to mess with your stash throughout the day just to get it back to where you wanted it to. And honestly, that's kind of a part of training the stash anyway. Like I said at the beginning of this review, this is definitely a different wax, and I like that he's coming from the whole wax and training wax from a completely different angle. I would like to see him put together a stiff version of this just to see what he would come up with and to see how well it would hold. I'd like to thank Bossman for contacting me and sending me out this to review for him. It was definitely a pleasure, and I really did like trying something completely new. If you want to pick up yourself some Bossman mud, hit that Amazon link below. It does give me a link. It is my brother's company. That being said, I am still going to try to tell you the pros and cons just like I do with every product that I review. So today we are taking a look at Wolfpack brand mustache wax. Something interesting and kind of cool about this mustache wax is that it was actually inspired by a Hungarian recipe from 1867. This mustache wax comes in a 1/2 ounce tin with a sliding top. Now, even though that it is half of what you usually get with a mustache wax, it is also about half the price, coming in at just under $7 for the tin. The scent is thyme and bergamot, but I do smell a little bit of the beeswax underneath that, but it's a very pleasant scent. Now to apply this, you apply it like you do any other wax, using the back of your thumbnail. This mustache wax is made out of all natural materials, including beeswax, coconut oil, thyme, and bergamot essential oils. Now this is a medium hold wax, which means it's not going to hold my curls curly all day, and it's not going to keep it looking like it does right now. However, it does what most medium hold mustaches do, but it does it really well, and that is that it keeps my mustache out of my mouth while I'm eating or just during day-to-day activities. Now, all that being said, I do have a few things else to say, and that is that I wish that my brother offered this in a 1 ounce tin as well, because I'm sure that anybody that bought this 1/2 ounce is gonna want more, and they may want to have a full ounce tin the next time that they bought it. However, there is a plus side to this small tin, and that is that if you carry a lot of stuff around with you in your pockets, it definitely makes the difference to have a smaller tin than your standard 1 ounce. So I think that if you're looking for a mustache wax that's gonna keep the hair out of your mouth all day, I do suggest getting my brother's mustache wax. If you'd like to try Wolfpack brand mustache wax or any of the other products that he has put out, make sure that you hit the Vigilant Wolf link down below, and I've gotten you a 15% discount until the end of May 2018. So if you like this review, please hit that subscribe button for more reviews every week, and let me know if I think it's expedition worthy. Captain Fawcett's Expedition Strength Mustache Wax comes in a 1/2 ounce container that I do believe is aluminum, and it has a screw off lid. Now the scent of this is definitely sandalwood. It has a nice pleasant scent of sandalwood, and you can still smell a little bit of that beeswax scent coming through as well. The texture of this wax is definitely on the waxy side, and it is pretty hard wax to get out of the container. Now it doesn't take much to do each side of the mustache, so make sure that you start out with a little bit and work your way towards more if needed. Expedition Strength Mustache Wax is made out of yellow beeswax, carnauba wax, mineral oil, and sandalwood essential oils. Now, due to the very waxy properties of this wax, it definitely takes some finagling to get it in there without having a heat source. However, it can be done. You just really have to work it in there, and if you see a little chunk here or there, definitely just kind of pinch it and pull it through the rest of your mustache. It is kind of a pain to get out of the tin. However, if you shove it down in your pocket, if you set it in the sun, if you warm it up with a blow dryer, you're not going to have much of a problem getting it out. And honestly, you probably don't want to get that much out of this tin at a time anyway, because if you do, you're going to end up having a really hard time with getting an even spread on your mustache. I looked this wax up online, and most of the problems are ones that I have already mentioned, with it being really hard to get out of the container, with it being really stiff, and people saying that they ended up having little clumps in their mustache, and all that can be taken care of by just adding a little bit at a time. Now, would I take this on an expedition? Well, depending. If I didn't care how great I looked in pictures, yeah, I'd take this on an expedition. I would have to say that this is probably in the top 5 to 6 stiffest waxes that I've tried, and so it is definitely up there with a good wax. It definitely holds all day. However, when it gets really hot, your mustache may start to droop a little bit, and all I ever had to do was, pull one of these real quick, and the mustache looked on point once again. On the cooler days, there's no problem with this whatsoever. However, if I needed to look good for the whole day, I would definitely go to my list of top 3 stiffest mustache waxes, which I'll post up here for you. Now, if you're a guy that's indoors, I would actually just suggest you trying out the regular Captain Fawcett's Mustache Wax first. This one is a little bit easier to apply, and it's still a medium strong hold wax. I am kind of disappointed in the price point. This sells on Amazon for about $15. Considering that other waxes that are kind of like it go for less if they are in a half-ounce container. But if you really want to try it out, it's not that horrible of a deal either, considering that it is in my top 5 strongest mustache waxes. What mustache wax are you currently wearing? Let me know down in the comments section. While you're down there, make sure to hit that. Man was really nice and sent me all 3 of their scents, which are Apex, Savannah, and Savo. And I'll get to the scent differences here shortly. Now, all 3 of these mustache waxes come in a 0.15 ounce chapstick type container. Now, the directions say to scrape off a pea-sized amount and place on pointer finger. You can also apply directly from the tube. Melt by rubbing wax together with opposite pointer finger. Apply from center of stash to edges using pointer fingers and thumbs for styling to your liking. The ingredients in this mustache wax are beeswax, pine rosin, coconut oil, lanolin, and essential oils that gives them each their own distinct scent. Now, a couple of times, just for the heck of it, I did try to apply it to my mustache out of the tin directly, like you would like chapstick or something. However, I just found that it really didn't get much on the mustache. However, where I did find that handy at was if I just needed to do just the tips, I can very easily just pull that out a little bit, put just the tip on there, and roll it through. Now, even though that they are strong hold waxes, I was really surprised about how soft they actually are coming right out of their container, which made them really super easy to apply to the mustache and even comb through when needed. Now, all 3 of these mustache waxes are marked as extra strong. I'd have to say that these definitely fall in the strong category, as I never really had to do much with my mustache throughout the day. For the most part, it stayed pretty well. It stays waxy throughout the day. Now, even in the heat, this one tended to hold up pretty well. And just like a few of them in my top 3 best hold list, this one has pine rosin in it, which I think is really the difference between just a beeswax based mustache wax and one that includes that pine rosin. Even in the heat, that pine rosin tends to want to hold the mustache up and not let it sag. Now, for the scent differences, we're going to start out with Apex. Apex has a Scotch pine and peppermint scent to it. However, I really just smell peppermint. To me, it kind of smells like one of those mini candy canes that you get at Christmas. And that's not a bad thing, because it's not super overpowering. Now for Savannah. Savannah was really hard for me to pick out the scent, so much though that I definitely had to look on their website to see what the scent was. And according to the website, it's cedar wood with tea tree oil. Now for me, I don't really smell much of that cedar wood, which I would like to be a little bit stronger. Tea tree with a little slight scent of that cedar makes for a really nice light scent. Now I saved my favorite for last, Savo. Savo is a very nice scent, and I want to read to you what they say it's supposed to smell like. Savo will make you think you're sipping smooth bourbon while sitting by a fire out of a leather-wrapped flask. It's almost kind of poetic, isn't it? I don't really smell much leather, and I don't smell much bourbon. What I do smell, however, is that wonderful smoky scent of that fire. Now, even though it's a strong scent when you first put it on, it does quickly dissipate. Now, in the beginning, I mentioned how these come in a 0.15 ounce container. I would have to say that would be my one complaint about these, because I do like the 1 ounce containers better, even though that these come in really handy for carrying around with you. But with such a strong wax, I never had to reapply it, so I really didn't need to carry it around with me. So I just don't see why it shouldn't be offered in at least a 1 ounce container, even if that meant that it had to go up to $14 or $15 in price. Now this says here, depending on which one you get, sells for about $9 to $10 on their website. And yes, that may seem expensive. However, they are a very good hold, and if you have a smaller mustache than this, you're really not going to need much. Even at that price point, I would have to say that they're definitely worth it. So to pick yourself up some, make sure to check out the links down below. If this review helped you out at all, please make sure to give me a big thumbs up down. Give you a full review. Well, once again, my mustache is not yet done, which means, as you saw when you clicked on this video, I am reviewing Colonel Ichabod Conk's Mustache Wax. This mustache wax comes in a 1-ounce container with your standard screw-off lid. The scent that this has is a rather strong peppermint. To me, it smells exactly like those mini candy canes that you get around Christmas time. This mustache wax is not all natural, with petroleum jelly, paraffin wax, and fragrance as its only ingredients. With it being petroleum jelly based, it comes out of the container fairly easy and applies and coats all of the hairs on the mustache fairly easily. Now, because of that same ingredient of petroleum jelly, it is also very greasy and gives the mustache a almost wet look to it. And that's one of those things that I just really don't like in a mustache wax. Let me know down in the comment section what you don't like about some mustache or beard products. Now, despite my mustache looking not too horribly bad right now, and Colonel Conk himself having a really nice handlebar, I find that this mustache wax is not suited for us guys that want to do anything more than just a straight down mustache. And I would say that this falls in the very light wax category. I think that this would definitely be suited for those that don't have handlebars, even little ones, as it doesn't last very long and it tends to not really hold the mustache the way that you probably want it to throughout the day. Where if you just have a regular little straight down mustache that is trimmed all nicely, I think that it would probably work for any bad hair days or those days that you want your mustache to have a little extra shine. Now, if you're a gentleman with a mustache like I just mentioned that this would probably work for, I suggest saving your $8, go into your medicine cabinet and get yourself some Vaseline. It's cheaper, and honestly, I think that the Vaseline may even hold a little bit better than Colonel Conk's. Now, I know that some people might say, well, did you read the back of the container? Well, let me read you what that says. It says, wax is especially formulated to be the final touch for a gentleman of superior grooming. Well, I tried it on the tips and tried it on a few little flyaways when I had the different wax in my mustache. And even then, it seemed to work very little to none at all. Now guys, I very easily could have said to go out and get yourself some of this if you got a shorter mustache that you need to get under control. However, honestly, you could probably just use some Vaseline and it'll work just as good. So if you want to pick yourself up some Vaseline in this nifty little container here, links down in the description. And save the $8.15 that Colonel Conks will cost you. If this review saved you some money, make sure to give me a big thumbs up down below, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you don't miss any. Taking a look at a mustache wax that was sent to me all the way from Sweden, from the company Mr. Bear Family. Now when I first got this, I kind of thought that was kind of a weird name. However, I found out that the owner's name is Bjorn, and that translates to bear in English. Both of these mustache waxes come in a 1-ounce tin with a screw-off lid. They sent me the scents in Woodland and Wilderness. Both of these mustache waxes are a strong hold. The only real difference in them is the scent, which we'll get to shortly. But first I wanted to say that I thought that it was kind of cool that they are the first company in Sweden to start making the beard balm and mustache wax. Now since they are both strong hold mustache waxes, you may want to have a blow dryer just to warm it up, just to make it a little bit easier. However, I found with these that it's not 100% necessary. Now it's time to go ahead and put this in my stash. Today I'm going to be using the Wilderness scent. The main ingredients in Mr. Bear Family's mustache wax is beeswax, lanolin, shea butter, and the essential oils. The scents in the Wilderness include lemon peel, rosemary, bitter orange, lavender, rosewood, lanolin, and sandalwood. While the Woodland has sandalwood, rosemary, lavender, rosewood, red cedar, pine, lanolin, and a citric rose oil. Now even though that these have quite a few different essential oils in them for the scents. I do have to say that I was kind of disappointed in the strength of the scent, because on both of these I smell more beeswax than I do the scent themselves. However, once I get past the beeswax scent, you can definitely tell that there's a wilderness and a woodland scent to them. But it's kind of hard to tell which is which, just because they do share some of the same essential oils and there's not a lot of scent there. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because a lot of people don't like the strong scented mustache waxes because they don't want to be smelling it on and off all day. But in my opinion, I think that they could crank up that scent just a few more notches and be perfectly fine. Now, as I stated earlier, both of these are a stronghold mustache wax, and a blow dryer may come in handy. However, it's definitely not a necessity, and really it only helps with speeding up the process while you're applying the wax to your stash. And being as how it is a stronghold, I really never had to do a second application, and if my mustache did get a little bit out of whack from the wind or whatever, I just ended up having to do a little fix, and it was right back to where it needed to be. Now let's talk about the cost. Each one of these goes for 129 Swedish krona on their website, which transfers into about $14.25 at the time of this recording, which I think is a great price for these. However, there's an importer on Amazon that is selling these for $20 a piece. Now, I know that you might be saying that that's a lot, but for a stiff wax, you're going to be paying between that $13 to $17 anyway, so you're not paying that much more for this wax. And honestly, the few extra dollars I think are well worth spending. The links to their website and Amazon link will be down below for you. If this review helped you out, please this out to review for you. This here mustache wax comes in a standard 1 ounce tin with a friction lid. The scent of this all comes from the ingredients that are in it, which I'll tell you here in a second, but mainly it just smells like pine. Peckerhead is definitely a firm hold mustache wax, as it says on the tin. However, I would have to say that it's probably closer to the extra strong hold more than just a firm. And because of its strength, you definitely want to be holding this in your pocket, rubbing it around in your hands a little bit before you try to apply it to your stash. You just apply this like every other mustache wax. Get a little bit on your thumbnail and rub it in between your fingers and apply like normal. The ingredients in this mustache wax are all natural and very simple. It has beeswax, pine resin, and lanolin in it. So I didn't have to use a blow dryer at all to apply this, which is definitely a plus in a extra strong hold wax such as this. Now, if a blow dryer helps you out, go ahead and don't be afraid to use it. It will definitely make your mustache a little bit easier to work with. Just like most waxes, as that wax hardens on your stash, you're going to want to go back in a couple of minutes and just make sure that your mustache is right where it wants it, because until that wax is fully hardened again, you're going to end up with the hair still being in a little bit of control. Also, with this being a strong wax, you're going to be pulling out a few of those hairs out of your stash while you apply it every now and then. So just keep that in mind. The only thing that I could find wrong with this wax is when it came to removing it. Because the pine rosin as well as the beeswax don't get along with water, it's kind of a pain to remove it if you have too much in your stash. Now, if you put just a little bit in when you go to shower that night or the next day, it probably won't be that much of an issue. But I noticed that when I put this on 2 days in a row, I ended up having a little bit too much in there and it just didn't want to come out very easy. So I ended up using my little comb and hot water with some soap to remove it. But that's not really an issue with the product, because the product was still doing its job. It was staying in my stash, it was keeping my stash exactly where I wanted it to be. I really like this mustache wax. It lasted the full day and even sometimes well into the next. So do I think that this wax is for you, and do I think that it is worth your money? Well, I think if you've got a mustache that you really need to keep in check, such as a nice handlebar or even just a little handlebar that you just put a little bit of wax on the tips, I would say that you should definitely give Peckerhead a try. And this wax comes in at a couple of dollars under what other extra strong or stronghold waxes do, coming in at just around $13. If you like this review and you want to see more of my mustache wax reviews, just click on this playlist up here. And today we're taking a look at primary mustache wax that was sent to me by Can You Handlebar. Primary mustache wax comes in a pretty standard 1 ounce tin. However, what's not standard is the label on it. This is definitely one of the best type of labels that I've had, because as you can see, it pretty much hasn't faded or wore off at all, and I've had it in my pocket quite a bit over the last month. The color of this is pretty much the same as what you expect from any mustache wax that has beeswax in it. It's kind of a little bit of a yellowish, but it does melt down nicely and it doesn't lighten my mustache at all. The scent is a very natural scent. It doesn't have any fragrances added to it or anything. So basically you're pretty much just smelling the beeswax and maybe a little bit of the few other ingredients that are in this. The ingredients in this mustache wax include beeswax, lanolin, olive oil, fractionated coconut, shea butter, and vitamin E. Now, as you just seen, primary is a very easy mustache wax to apply. It really doesn't take much. There's no extra heat involved. All I did was shove this in my pocket for 5 to 10 minutes and it comes out of the tin very nicely in nice little ribbons if you're using your thumb. Now, primary is a medium hold wax, so don't think that this is going to be the only one that you're going to want if you have a big mustache or handlebars like mine. Basically, what that means is I found myself having to adjust my mustache throughout the day, just making sure that the curls were right and how I wanted them to be. So why would you get this primary if it doesn't hold that well? Well, because they have a secondary, which is a firm hold, which I did a review on quite a while ago, which you can see right up here. So now you might be wondering why you would get the primary if you can get a firm hold secondary. Well, honestly, because you're not going to want to just put the firm hold secondary in your stash, because quite frankly it's a kind of a pain to get out on its own. And if you've got a smaller stash than mine, the primary will definitely hold your hairs where you need it to be. However, I found with my big mustache a few times what I ended up doing that the secondary came in really handy to hit those ends, as well as I put a little bit right on the curve of the stash as well, and that held it perfectly fine. So I basically combined the two and got a very good looking mustache. So if you got a big mustache like mine, I do suggest picking up both of these. Links will be down below for you. And if you've just got a smaller mustache that just kind of has a few flyaways here and there, definitely primary should take care of you pretty good. If you like this review, please make sure to give me a big thumbs up down below. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell if you want to make sure. Kira87 was so nice, send me this here mustache wax. Mustache wax comes in a nicely packaged box with a guy on this side and a guy on this side. Personally, I love this picture. It is absolutely amazing. Now, this box is a little bit deceiving because, well, I was thinking that it was going to be a pretty decent sized mustache wax. But once you open it, you will find that there's a little lid that you had to pop open. And the mustache wax is kind of floating in there. So it's not that big of a mustache wax. It's actually 16 grams. That's all in a glass container with a screw-off tin lid. The scent of this is a very clear sweet vanilla and sandalwood scent. It's actually called 1893, and you might be wondering where that name came from, as I was, and evidently it's named after the first year that there was an actual barber school, which I think is pretty cool and kind of a nice little paying homage to that. Now, this is a pretty strong scent, but I'll get to that here in a minute. It's super easy to apply. You just got to get some on your nail, rub it into your fingers like any normal wax, and then apply it to your mustache. The ingredients in this include castor oil, beeswax, vitamin E, and the fragrance scent. Now, Apothecary87 does consider this to be a stronghold wax. However, I would have to say that it's much more in the medium line of a mustache wax, and it gives a nice natural hold so it doesn't look like you have anything in your mustache, and I think that does a pretty good job. But it is a European company, and I've noticed that they have a different scale level than we do over here in the States. So if you're in the United States and buying this, just know that you're not going to get the strong hold that you're probably looking for out of this wax. However, if you got a smaller handlebar and you want a much more natural looking mustache, I highly consider giving these guys a shot, because it's actually a pretty decent wax, as long as you know that you're not supposed to put a lot of it on your mustache. If you do put a lot of it on there, it's gonna be overpowering. The scent of this is a very, very strong scent. And I've seen a couple of comments on Amazon. One even considered that it smells like a French whore, which I found pretty funny. But the thing is that you're not supposed to put a lot of this on your mustache, and it sounded like that's exactly what that person was doing. So just know that this is meant more for those that already have their mustaches trained to where they want it to be, and probably people that don't have as long of a mustache as I do. That being said, I did actually like this mustache wax, especially when I was just running out to the store or going over to the shop to do some work over there. It was nice because I didn't feel like I had stuff in my mustache, and I knew that if I was going to end up going to a store to pick something up, all I really had to do is just kind of separate it, and it was good enough. Now, one thing that I don't like about this is the actual container that it comes in. Once you start getting down there in the product of how much you have left, especially with the little shoulders that this has in it, it can be kind of a pain to get in there and get all of the wax out. Now, do I think that this 16 grams is worth the $13 that this comes in at? Well, honestly, if you have a small handlebar and you are looking for that nice natural look, I do think that this is worth that $13, because you'd only be using it just on the very tips of the handlebar, and you won't be using that much of it, so it should last you quite a while. So if you want to pick yourself up some, make sure to check out the link down below. If you like this review, well, I'm sure that you are Chicago. This wax comes in a 2-ounce container that is painted black with a standard friction type lid. Now, because it is painted, I did notice that there are a few little, not really chips, but scratches in the paint after about a couple of weeks of it just kind of being around here, you know, knocking up against other containers and such. But that's not really a big deal. What I also noticed that there is a dent in actually all 3 of the containers that I received. And it doesn't obviously affect the way that the product inside works, but if it was big enough, which none of these ones were luckily, it could technically have an effect on how easily the container opens. However, all 3 of the containers that I got, none of them were affected by the dent in the bottom. The scent of this is mainly just the ingredients that are in the product itself. I mostly smell a little bit of tea tree mixed in with the beeswax. To apply this, you just apply it like you would any other wax or balm. The ingredients include coconut oil, beeswax, jojoba, cannabis, sativa, tea tree, neroli, and peppermint oils. First product that I've ever used that had the cannabis sativa in it, and honestly, I didn't really notice any difference in it and any of the other products that I've used in the past. Now, Sweet Comb Chicago does count this as a medium hold wax. There's some things that I agree with that on, and some things that I don't. And I think that it all has to do with how you style your facial hair. I think that it's definitely a medium hold if you've got a mustache that connects up to your beard or to your goatee, because it held the goatee hair very nicely and firmly just about throughout the whole day, and it gave it a nice healthy looking shine. However, where I don't think that it's a medium hold is if you are trying to style your mustache. I noticed that within a couple of hours, or even less than an hour sometimes, my mustache would be drooping and not be looking good So it does depend on what you're trying to do with your mustache and your beard. I think that if you've got a handlebar like I do, any type of handlebar like I do, it's probably not the best wax for you. However, if you are just connecting your mustache up to your beard, like I said earlier, this is going to be a good medium hold wax. And I would have to say that as far as a beard wax goes, I would have to put this closer to the stronger side of medium. Now, what about the guy that doesn't have a beard or a styled mustache? I think that this could do you pretty decently for just keeping them flyaways in place throughout the day as well. This definitely has potential for a decent hold mustache wax as well, and I think that that would just need a slight change of having more beeswax than there is coconut oil, because the coconut oil definitely does water down that wax a little bit too much to make it hold a styled mustache like mine. Now, do I think that this is worth your money? Well, coming in at $12 to $13 on their website, I do think that this is a pretty good place to start, especially if you're not looking for a super strong hold wax or balm. If you like this review, make sure to hit that subscribe button to see more of my reviews from Sweet Home Chicago. Savvy Jack was so nice to send me out this mustache wax to review for you guys, so I used it for the last 30 days like I have used all my products for before giving you a full honest review. The first thing I noticed about Savvy Jack wax is that it comes in this very nice little cardboard mailer here with their logo on it. It's simple, there's not a lot of packaging to it, and honestly, it definitely fits this brand. So to get inside, all you gotta do is rip open the back of the little cardboard thing and go ahead and pull out the card that is inside of it. Once you open that up, you're gonna see a logo, of course, just like you saw on the front of the mailer. Once you open it up here, the top flap has how to apply the mustache wax, how to use this wax as a bullet lube. Once you move down to the bottom of the card here, you're going to see the mustache wax in a little hole in the center, and you're going to see 5 ingredients around it. Now, I first thought that this was just going to be key ingredients. Turns out it's the only ingredients that are in the mustache wax, but we'll get to those here in a second. The scent of this is definitely tied to the ingredients list, and I smell just a very little bit of a hint of beeswax, but the main thing that I smell is the cocoa butter. So it definitely has kind of a chocolatey cocoa scent to it, which dissipates fairly quickly once you actually have it in your mustache. Now, real quick, I want to know down in the comments section what scent you would like a mustache wax to be, or what favorite scent you already have. Now, as I stated earlier, you've only got 5 ingredients in this mustache wax. You've got your beeswax, your cocoa butter, your jojoba oil, your shea butter, and then the piece de resistance, or the strongest ingredient that really makes this have a nice strong hold, is the pine resin or pine rosin. And I have found that that's one key ingredient that just about all of the really good stronghold mustache waxes have in common. Now, to apply this, you can do it just like you would any other stronghold wax. However, you don't necessarily need to have a heat source to apply this. It can help, but honestly, you can just very easily warm it up in your hands or shove it down in your pocket for a little while, and it gets soft enough where you can apply it. Now, my experience using Savvy Jack wax is that it is absolutely a stronghold wax and needs to be treated as such. Meaning, don't go and put a whole bunch of it on the inner stash and think that you're just gonna work it out to the sides, because it is a stronghold. It's gonna be a pain to do that. So start out with just a little bit, work it out, add a little bit more, and so on and so forth. And there you go. As you guys just saw, I didn't need any extra heat to properly apply this wax. Now, it definitely does help, but it's definitely not a necessity. Now, when I say this is a stronghold wax, guys, I mean it. I used this a couple of times when I went out canoeing, and my mustache pretty much stayed exactly where it was supposed to on a kind of a cooler day, as well as the 85-degree day that I took it out, and there was a breeze both days, and my stash stayed right where I wanted it to the entire few hours that I was canoeing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this isn't just a mustache wax, because he has formulated this to be able to also be used with your black powder as well as your smokeless powder guns. Unfortunately, I didn't get to try this in any of my guns because I just don't have the equipment or the black powder to do so. However, through doing a little bit of research, it looks like this would work, and it would work pretty well. Although it's definitely a little bit more expensive than your typical lubes that you would use, in a pinch, like the apocalypse, you could definitely use this mustache wax in your smokeless or black powder gun. Now, do I think that you should spend your hard-earned money on Savvy Jack? Well, quite honestly, I think they're underpriced, coming in at $12.50. And it's well worth that and more, guys. So if you're looking for a good stronghold wax this year, I definitely highly suggest checking out Savvy Jack. Since I know that you want to try Savvy Jack, make sure to check out the link below. And for those members of my website, wax. Now, Ranger is actually a product line by 11 Rose, and they're the ones that sent me this mustache wax to review for you guys. The mustache wax comes in a hefty 2-ounce tin with a half-turn screw-off lid. This was sent to me in the fragrance-free scent, and I do have to say, besides the very light scent of the natural ingredients that are in it, it really doesn't have much scent at all, and in fact, I really don't smell it at all after applying it right to my mustache. Now, if you like your mustache waxes to smell like something, they do also sell this in a spiced sandalwood. Along with the all-natural scent that I was sent this in, it also has all-natural ingredients, which is a pretty simple ingredients list consisting of just beeswax, shea butter, castor oil, avocado oil, and argan oils. Now, you apply this like you do any other wax by getting a little bit on your thumb, rubbing them in between your finger and your thumb, and then working your way from the inside by your nose out toward the tips. However, I did notice that with this particular product that you definitely want to not warm it up as much as you might be tempted to with some other products, as this one does tend to be a little bit oilier than some of the other products that I'm used to using, and therefore it doesn't want to really style it if you have a decent sized handlebar like I do. So it definitely helps to leave it a little bit on the cold side so that it's not completely warmed up, just so that then it has a little bit of tack to it. However, it is a much more of a natural hold wax. I would consider this to be on the lighter side of medium, if not a light hold wax. Now, with it also being a little bit of an oilier wax than some of the other ones that I've tried in the past, I did notice that it does help just kind of check right around the nose area and stuff to make sure that there's no oily spots on my cheeks afterward. It didn't happen often, however, when I would warm it up a little bit too much, I would have a little bit of shine on my cheeks, which would go away after a little while once it kind of dried. It's just something that I just kind of paid attention to when I was using this wax. And as you can see, it definitely likes to kind of settle on its own. You're not going to be doing any handlebars or any real shaping with this mustache wax, as it's just not really meant for that. And I do think that it actually makes a pretty good shaping wax for the goatee or a beard, because it's probably on the stronger side of a beard balm than it is a medium hold mustache wax. And on their website, they actually have it listed as a beard and mustache wax. So I think that's really where this product is meant to be geared toward. So don't take it as a bad thing that it can't hold my curls up where I would usually like them to be, because it's not really meant to do that. Now, for not being geared towards a handlebar mustache like mine or some people's that are much bigger, I do have to say that it actually holds a natural hold look or a natural curl fairly well in my mustache. Now, do I think that this 2-ounce container is worth your money? Well, quite honestly, if you've got a big old handlebar like mine that you like to style delicately or really precisely, I would have to say probably not. However, if you're looking for a little bit of detail in your beard stash, or you just have a much smaller stash than I do, I would have to say that for the $14 that this comes in at, it is probably well worth your money. If you want to pick yourself up some of this mustache wax by Ranger, make sure that you check out the link. All the products that I review, I have used this one for right around a month now, and Golden Beard sent this and a bunch of other products out for me to review for you. Golden Beard's mustache wax only comes in one size that I saw, and that is the 1/2 ounce container. It's a very small one, but it does fit in the pocket nicely, and it is a tin that has a screw off lid to it. Golden Beard's mustache wax comes in 1 cent, which is their Big Sur, and it's a lavender, patchouli, and lime scent. However, what I'm really smelling is that lavender and patchouli, patchouli being the stronger of the 2 scents. Now, Golden Beards does acknowledge that this is classified as a medium hold wax, which I'm very glad to see, and they did put it in a nice little tin so that you can easily slide it into your pocket and reapply it as needed throughout the day. Now that you know that it's a medium hold wax, I want to know down in the comment section if a medium hold can hold your stash the way that you want it to, or if you need something a bit stronger or maybe even a bit lighter. This is a fairly easy wax to apply, especially if you carry it around in your pocket with you. You just apply it like you do any other wax. Golden Beards has used all natural ingredients in this mustache wax, including beeswax, shea butter, cocoa butter, jojoba, argan, juniper, ginger oils, and the couple of essential oils for the scent. Now, from my experience using the Golden Beard's mustache wax, I have to say that I do find it to be on the lighter side of a medium hold wax, and I found that it is definitely a decent wax if you're just going for a natural looking mustache, but still need some of the hairs to be held into place. I found that I had to apply a bit of this on the tips to really get them to stay nice and tight together. However, that's just my mustache, and my mustache kind of tends to not want to stay together on the tips anyway. So experience with that portion of this might vary. Less is definitely more with this wax, as if you put in too much all at once, it's gonna end up kind of clumping the hair together and not be able to get a decent looking hold or look to it. So you're definitely going to want to just apply a little bit at a time until you get used to how much you need, and then you can just go straight to that every time. Now, because it can hold all the hairs all in one spot, it can definitely also get heavy on the mustache. So big long handlebars like this are not that great for this wax because it tends to want to droop down and it doesn't hold it right where you want to all the time. Now, I've told you several reasons why this isn't good for a bigger mustache like mine. So who do I think that this is good for? Well, it's good for those that don't do a big handlebar. And if you just have the little peaks on the ends of your mustache, I do think that this would work fairly well as help keep all the other hairs in alignment where they need to be. I also think that this would be a decent wax for people that are just starting to grow their mustache, or to use it as kind of a training wax to be able to get your hair to start going in the direction that you need it to go. Now, do I think that this mustache wax is worth your money? Well, I think for the right person, it is absolutely worth your money. Am I the right person to pay the $8 for this wax? I would have to say no. Just because my stash is too big and I need something a little bit stronger than a light medium hold wax. However, if you've got a smaller handlebar that just barely comes off the sides of your lips, I think that this might be a good wax for you. Or if you just use a medium hold wax anyway, usually I do suggest giving Golden Beards a shot. Now in case you missed it, this does cost $8 and you can get it at the link down below. 8. As you know, a few months back, I reviewed Savvy Jack, and if you haven't seen that mustache wax review, check it out up here. But I wanted to let you guys all know that he got some feedback saying that it was kind of hard to remove from the tin and apply without using a blow dryer, and a few people wanted to be able to do that without having a external heat source. So he went in there and tweaked the ingredients just a little bit so that once warmed up with your hands, it is easier to remove from the tin as well as apply to the mustache. Now, I have been using the new wax here for about a week and a half, and I have to say that it has just as good hold for a days long use, and you have no problem whatsoever applying it from this. And to make it even easier to apply, he has actually came out with a little container version of it as well that you can just shove in your pocket. It heats up twice as easy because, well, there's not a huge tin of it here. And this, honestly, guys, if you're thinking about going with a stronger wax but not sure if it's right for you, this in a solo tube is $6 on his website. And you can get a 3-pack of this so that you can always have one in your pocket. And it's only $15. So really, it's a really great deal if you do want a smaller tube of this. It makes it really super simple to remove as well. You just take the cap off there, twist the bottom up, and you can just pull it right off of there. Then, as you would, apply it. Then once you're done, just pop the lid right back on and shove it back in your pocket. And the best part of it is that you're not having to carry around a full round tin with you all day. This just settles really nicely down at the bottom of your pocket as well. But if you do happen to need some throughout the day for whatever reason, you have some with you to reapply. However, quite honestly, I don't think that you'd ever really need to reapply it as long as you apply enough at the very beginning of the day. Now, just like you, I was wondering if he had to change the ingredients list or anything like that, and he hasn't. All he's done is change the proportions of the original ingredients, so it's still all natural. It's still a really good hold. I would say that it is still absolutely in that strong hold category because it will definitely hold your stash all day. So it's still a great wax, and I highly suggest that if you're looking for a stronghold wax, that you use it. And this is 30-day reviews. Sudden Death comes in a gold 1-ounce tin standard screw-off lid. Now, once you do screw it off, of course, they have a pick inside to help you remove the wax from the tin. Mine says Death Grip, but I'm pretty sure that they've since updated that to say Sudden Death. Now, the scent to this wax is quite frankly nothing to shake a bone at. It's very natural scented, so it's kind of an earthy scent. It's not strong. You really don't notice it once you put it into your stash. Now, to apply this mustache wax, you of course do it just like you do any other. However, you can of course use the pick that is supplied to pull out some of that wax. You want about a pea-sized amount to apply, and then you just apply it from the inside of your stash to the outside like you would any other. Sudden Death uses all natural ingredients just like the Death Grip and the Old Country waxes do. The ingredients in the Sudden Death is beeswax, shea butter, coconut oil, and pine rosin. Now, as you may have noticed, I did have to add a little bit extra just to the tips of the handlebars because it does take a little bit extra to keep the fine single hairs down right to where I want them. However, it turns out pretty good just with adding a little bit extra. Now, as you just seen, it applies fairly easily. I didn't need any external heat source like a blow dryer or to run this under hot water for any amount of time. In fact, I only had this in my pocket for right around 5 minutes before I started doing this review. Now, if you've seen my review of Old Country that I did way back when, you know that this is probably a lighter medium hold wax. And you know that Death Grip is absolutely a stronghold wax if you've watched, well, quite frankly, any of my stronghold wax videos. However, this would probably fall much more into the extreme hold category, which meant that there was two places that sudden death could go. It could go either in the medium hold or the strong hold category. And well, vintage grooming being vintage grooming, they decided to go ahead and put this in the strong hold category, which I would definitely have to agree with. Sudden death is a strong hold. It will hold a stash even the size of mine pretty much all day with no problems whatsoever. Now, it being a strong hold, you would think that they would just lighten up the death grip. However, to me, it feels much more like they added a lot of strength to the old country to make the sudden death. Now, why do I say that? Well, quite frankly, I think that the scent profile is kind of about the same, or at least a lot closer to the old country. But most importantly, it is a tacky hold, which means it's more of a kind of a glue texture than it is a wax texture. And as you can see here in my fingers even, you can see that it does indeed have a lot of tack to it. Now for my experience using Sudden Death. Well, I have to say right off the bat, I love the logo. They aced that. I think that them sticking with adding in a pick into the wax is also another really good choice. However, I never used it. So what I did was I just added a little wax to the back side of it, shoved it onto the back of the lid, and it stayed there the entire 30 days. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing with mine, and I just used my thumb mostly to remove it out of the tin. It removes very simply with just a few minutes, like I said, in the hand or in a pocket. Which brings me to the hold of the wax. I think that it did a great job. It definitely held perfectly fine. Anytime that I had to put a mask on, if it was messed up at all after I took it off, it just takes a little swoop of the fingers and my mustache was right back where it was supposed to be. I also like Sudden Death because it does spread very nicely and evenly throughout the stash, and it even brushes through the mustache fairly well. I also noticed while using this over the last 30 days that it is a heavier mustache wax. So what this means is that you're going to want to use a little bit and slowly add to that while you are doing up your stash, because it can get heavy fairly quickly, which can give the appearance to somebody that the mustache wax isn't holding properly, which it will as long as you don't apply too much. Now, like I said, this is a strong hold. However, it is on the probably a little bit lighter side of a strong hold wax. So I did find that this worked much better when I was going for a more natural style mustache with just a little bit of a swoosh on the handlebars. And I think that it held the cowboy style handlebars to look really, really nice all day long. Now, do I think that you should spend your hard-earned money on Sudden Death? Well, I honestly think that as long as you don't mind the tacky type texture to a mustache wax, that you try out Sudden Death. I think that it holds very well. It definitely feels good in the mustache. It's not overly oily, it's not overly tacky, like it's not sticking to your skin. I think that it's just right, and I really do like this one. And I think that if you are going to get it, you should get it at the link down below. To check out the other mustache wax that it was suggested I take a look at Viking Revolution. And so I picked up this 2-pack. Now in the box you also get a little guitar pick for removing wax out of the tin, as well as a Viking Revolution sticker. Now just be warned that the sticker is folded in half because, well, they had to make it fit into the box somehow. Now as far as the mustache wax goes, well, you get 2 half-ounce containers. Both of them are your standard screw-off lid, just in a much smaller size. I do believe that I saw that they have 4 different scents. However, I got this one in sandalwood and citrus. And well, if you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you'll know how much I like my citrus scents, so how could I not get this particular 2-pack? I found that the sandalwood scent is definitely sandalwood. However, it does have a little bit more of a perfumey type scent to it, so it's a little bit sweeter than some of the other sandalwoods out there that I've scented in the past. The other scent, of course, is the citrus, and I find that it is a lighter scent. It's definitely not as strong as some of the other citrus mustache waxes and beard balms that I've reviewed in the past, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'll get to that here in a little bit. You apply the mustache wax like you do any other. Just use your thumb and apply it from the inside out. The ingredients in this mustache wax are all natural, consisting of beeswax, ABS elbow leaf wax, shea butter, cocoa butter, jojoba oil, avocado, oregon, and coconut oils, as well as vitamin E and the oil to give it its respective scent. As you just saw, I didn't need a blow dryer or any external heat. In fact, over the last 30 days of using it, I barely even held the wax in my pocket to warm it up beforehand. So it definitely applies easily, as well as fairly even throughout the mustache. You just really have to make sure that you rub it in and don't have any little clumps, or it does tend to show a little bit because it is a little bit on the whiter side. Now, from my experience using Viking Revolution's mustache wax over the last 30 days. Well, to start off with, I use them both equally, and the scent is the only difference. There is no hold difference or any other difference as far as the wax tins go. Like I said earlier, the citrus is a little bit on the lighter side of scented, and so is the sandalwood. And honestly, that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're like me and don't really care if there's a special scent or not to a mustache wax. As far as application goes, it is very easy to apply. I have no problem applying it, but it definitely does stick to the more natural styles of a mustache. As you see here, I don't have really defined tips. I just kind of have it all kind of, sticking together, which is basically what this wax does. If you notice that before I applied it, I already had handlebars going, and that's because of a brush and a blow dryer combo that I've been testing out. And honestly, it worked really well with these waxes because I'm not able to get anything really defined with this wax. Now, on Viking Revolution's website, it does say that this is supposed to be a stronghold wax. Well, unfortunately, as you can see, I'm not getting a really strong hold out of this. I am getting much more of a relaxed, more natural hold, which means you're not going to be getting a strong hold out of this wax. I would have to say that this wax is much more closer to the medium to light medium even hold for a mustache wax. Now, if you're looking for a natural hold like this, it's not a bad thing, but I do think that their advertising on their site or their wording on their site is definitely off. Now, does that mean that this is a bad mustache wax? I don't think that it is. I think that it's just not for somebody like me with a much larger handlebars. I think that if you are just starting out growing your mustache, or even just have a simple mustache that, is just straight down, I think that it is definitely a product that you would be able to use to just get a little bit nicer of a look. I also think that it'd be fairly decent if you are starting to train your mustache. I find that the lighter waxes are a little bit easier to train with because you're going to want to be brushing them throughout the day and really making sure that they are going where you want them to go when you're training. So I think that a lighter mustache wax such as this that you could even apply several times a day is definitely a better option for that. Now, do I think that Viking Revolution's mustache wax is worth the money? Well, considering that it comes in at $9 for basically an ounce of wax, I don't think that's too bad, especially for what it is. Do I think that their stronghold claims are a little bit off? Yes, but after reviewing this, I think that it was well worth the $9 to be able to have a decent wax for a more natural hold mustache throughout the month. If Viking Revolution mustache wax is one that you think that you want to try, make sure to check out the link down below. The Paraso mustache wax, because I know that it's one that is fairly easy to access, and I figured that you guys probably wanted to know about it. Paraso sells their mustache wax in a small half-ounce container with a plastic screw-off lid. The scent for the Paraso mustache wax I was unable to nail down without going to their website, and according to the website it is wood and spice. And basically it's a mixture of cedarwood, saffron, and vanilla. My nose really picks up on that saffron and vanilla with a very, very slight hint of the cedarwood. The scent is a little bit on the stronger side than some other mustache waxes. However, I never had a problem with the scent reappearing strongly, at least throughout the day. To apply this, I just took a little bit on my finger and applied it like I do any other wax, starting from the middle and working my way out. The ingredients include beeswax, shea butter, eucalyptus oil, Mediterranean cistus, which I found out was a flower from the rock rose family. Then, of course, the ingredients for the scent. This wax definitely starts out as a paste and kind of gets a little bit more tackier as you are applying it. However, I found that it gets very stiff fairly quickly. Now in their instructions, they do say that you can apply a little bit of warm water throughout the day if you need to readjust or restyle your mustache. And I have found that it comes in kind of handy for when you're first styling it. However, even then, it seems like I can't ever get the wax just right. Now, my experience using the Paraso mustache wax was not quite what I was hoping that it would be, and I may just not be the correct audience for this particular wax, which I'll explain why here coming up. I found that it's fairly easy to remove from the glass. However, eventually, because it does have that lip on the inside, you're not going to be able to get all of it out very easily, and as you get towards the bottom of it, it just seems like it gets to be a little bit more of a pain every time. I found that the wax does dry fairly quickly as you're applying it, so you definitely need to know exactly what you're going to be doing with your mustache at the time. Otherwise, you could possibly end up with a mustache that isn't quite symmetrical or doesn't quite look like what you would like it to. I also found that this mustache wax does not lend very well to a natural hold style mustache. As you can see on my mustache, all of the hairs are fairly tightly grouped together, and that's because it is really hard to get a more loose mustache with this mustache wax. Which, if that's what you're going for, great. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I also found out that if you accidentally leave the lid off of this, it will definitely slowly dry out. So if you do pick up yourself some of the Paraso, really make sure that you put that lid back on the container after every use. Now, one other thing that I would like to point out is that if you get too much of this in your mustache, it does leave white streaks or lighter areas in your mustache. The closest wax that I can really say that this would be like would probably be the Clubman wax, and it just kind of has the same kind of texture. However, this one definitely has a stronger hold than the Clubman did. Now, why I think that this wax may be better for different styles of mustache. Well, honestly, I didn't really find that doing the curls really worked out that well throughout the day, because for some reason I ended up having a few hairs that would end up coming off the sides, or as you can see, the shorter hairs just have a real problem with doing what I want them to do without me having a pencil thin mustache just about all the way in. And once again, that lends to the fact that I can't do a natural hold mustache with this. Now, I did find that I could do a straight out mustache. And I think that for people that want to do this type of a mustache, I think that it works fairly well. And it does hold just about all day long without really having any real issues. I think that this mustache wax in particular is much better for people with just a small pointed handlebar. You know, the ones that just come barely off the sides of the mouth, or those that are looking for a little extra hold in a standard style mustache. Now, do I think that the Payaso mustache wax is worth your money? Well, coming in at $12, it's only $2 less than some of the full ounce containers that I really like that are out there. And so I would have to say that you would probably be better off, especially if you have a larger mustache like mine, to probably check out some of those other waxes before going to the Payaso. However, if you are in need of a mustache wax and you are at a store and you need something to get your mustache under control, even if it is as big as mine, it may take a little bit longer, it may take a little finagling, but I think the Payaso mustache wax is actually a fairly decent wax for the hold that it gives. If you think that the Payaso mustache wax is a wax that you want to try, make sure to check out the link to buy, which is supposed to be a stronghold wax. Strongman sent this out to me to review for you guys, along with a few other products that I'll be taking a look at in the future. However, this comes in a 1 ounce tin that is copper colored, so a little different than most of your other waxes. It also is a full turn screw lid, so you do got to go a little further than some of the other ones, but it does ensure that you're not going to get anything inside of it, or it's not going to dry out on you. The scent of this wax is just the natural scent that its ingredients gives off, which is a very, very light scent. It's not strong or overpowering whatsoever. The Samson Strength wax can be applied without any additional heat source, such as a blow dryer. However, it may also come in handy if you find it difficult to apply to your stash. So to apply this, you apply it just like you do any other stronghold wax. The ingredients in the Samson Strength wax include beeswax, microcrystalline wax, pine rosin, cocoa butter, and a little bit of their beard oil for mustache health, which includes avocado, hemp seed, pumpkin seed, apricot, grape seed, and safflower oil. As you see, I didn't use any blow dryer, although I definitely could have, just to add a little bit more pliability to this. It was done all just with the heat of my pocket. All right, and there we go. We have now applied the wax. Now, although I already had some okay natural looking handlebars going earlier, this has definitely classed it up a little bit. Now, from my experience with the Samson Strength wax, well, I have to say that I think that it is a stronghold wax. It definitely is too strong to be in the medium hold wax, but not quite strong enough to fall into the extra strong hold category. As you can tell by the application, I didn't have a hard time applying this. It goes on fairly smoothly. It does melt to a nice consistency in the fingers before application, which is always nice for a stronger hold wax like this. The scent of this, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. Now, because they do use their beard oil in it, I thought that it would be a little bit more on the oily side, but it's really not. It hasn't left me with any oily feelings on my mustache. However, I did notice that it does tend to have a little bit more shine to it than some of the other waxes that I've used in the past. Now, the ingredients for me were all good until I saw that microcrystalline wax, which is basically the only thing in this that makes it not a all-natural wax. So I think that they probably could exclude that and substitute something else that would be considered all-natural. I do understand why they used it, however, because it does add a little bit of hold and a little bit of stretch to the wax itself. Now, to me, there's only two kind of negatives about this wax. One of them is that for me, anyway, it seemed like some of the kind of shorter, stubborn hairs didn't really like to listen to this wax all the time. So I did end up having a couple of days where I had some sticking up around the nostrils here, or even inside or outside of the curl itself. Now that wasn't all the time, but I definitely noticed it with this wax a little bit more than I have with some of the other. The second thing happened in my pocket, and it doesn't have to do with the actual wax itself, more the ink that is printed on the labels. Now this is something that I've seen with a lot of the newer upcoming mustache waxes, and even some of the more popular waxes in the past have had the same issue. And that is that the colors either run or they just wear off completely. And on the back of this, it has all of the ingredients on it. And unfortunately, at this point, they're just straight up unreadable. Now, being a stronghold wax, this isn't exactly the best wax to be trying to do a natural hold with anyway, but some of the waxes that I reviewed in the past, even with the stronghold, I was able to get that, and this one just doesn't really lean very well for that particular style on me. Now, do I think that this is worth your money? Well, coming in at $5 to $7 less than some of the other stronger hold waxes, I have to say for $10, this is a fairly decent buy. After all, like I said, it holds most of the day with very few touch-ups, and it's from a small batch company, which is always nice to see more of. If you'd like to try out this Samson Strength Wax for yourself, make sure to check out the website linked below. Grooming. And of course, that is Bare Bones. Now, Bare Bones is a medium hold wax, which means that it comes somewhere in between Death Grip's Old Country and their Sudden Death, which was the last mustache wax that I reviewed of theirs. And of course, Sudden Death is underneath the Death Grip, which is an extreme hold. Bare Bones, like all of their waxes, now come in a gold tin with a half-turn screw-off lid. And of course, it comes with the corresponding pick as well. Now, the scent of Bare Bones comes in right about the same scent as the other products in the lineup, with just having a natural scent of the ingredients that it's made up of. To apply Bare Bones, it is a fairly simple process. Now, you can of course use the pick that it comes with, or just use the back of your thumbnail, and that's what I typically do. The ingredients in this mustache wax include beeswax, pine rosin, lanolin, jojoba oil, shea butter, and coconut oil. Now, as you can see, I'm not using any external heat source to apply this mustache wax because it is a fairly soft wax. In fact, I didn't even have this warming up in my pocket before this review. And now, as you can see, with a little bit of tweaking, it looks quite a bit better than it did beforehand. Now, from my experience using Bare Bones over the last month or so. First off, I have to say that this definitely is a medium hold wax. As you guys saw before I did up my mustache, my curls were already fairly tight. And that's not because my mustache is trained to do that. No, I have to use little curlers to be able to get my mustache like that. And without pre-curling it, Bare Bones would not be able to keep that hold for any real extended amount of time. However, with it being trained every time with the curlers, I am able to get a fairly decent curl for most of the day. Now, that being said, it does leave a little bit more of a natural looking mustache, meaning all of the hairs aren't exactly where I would like them to be. And there are a few that will end up poking out on the side here, or inside the curl, or even up here by the nose, just because those hairs aren't long enough yet. So there is that little issue with this, but being as how it is a medium hold, I wasn't expecting more than that. In fact, I'd have to say that Bare Bones comes in on the stronger side of a medium hold. And as I mentioned earlier, Bare Bones is extremely easy to apply with not needing any external heat source or even needing to be in my pocket for any amount of time. It is literally good to go as soon as you pick it up off your counter. The texture of Bare Bones is definitely somewhere in between the Sudden Death and the Old Country. And what I mean by that is that Sudden Death is a little bit more on the wax hold side of things, where Old Country is very far on the tacky side of things. Well, Bare Bones falls just about dead center of that, and I think that it's a great texture. It definitely holds most of the day. Now, I think that Bare Bones is definitely one of those mustache waxes where if you want a perfect mustache, you're gonna be using it on probably the inner mustache and then moving to something like the Sudden Death or the Death Grip if you're staying with vintage grooming. Because it is a lighter wax, and like I stated, it's not gonna hold every hair perfect. However, I think that where Bare Bones would really shine is somebody that is starting to grow out their mustache and needing a wax to help train the hair to go the proper way. Now you might be thinking, well, why wouldn't you just go straight to Death Grip or a stronger hold wax? Well, on a shorter hairs, they can get really uncomfortable throughout the day. And I think that Bare Bones is just enough hold where it's not gonna be uncomfortable, and it's not a light enough hold where it's not gonna hold those smaller hairs. So I think that Bare Bones is a great option for anybody that is looking at training their mustache. Now, a lot of times when I'm talking about my thoughts on a product, I don't really mention the tins unless there's something that really glaringly stands out. Well, this isn't necessarily one of those things that is a bad thing, and it's not necessarily a good thing either. But if you want a tin that is going to stay gold, you can't carry this around in your pocket because it does eventually get a little bit of a patina look around the edges of it where the gold will wear off. Now, me personally, I kind of like the look. You may not, but to me, it doesn't bother me. It's not affecting the product whatsoever. Overall, Bare Bones is a great mustache wax if you're looking for a medium hold wax. And as of the recording, this is coming in at a great price of just $15. If you would like to pick yourself up one, make sure to check out the link down below. If you like this review of a brand today is from Strongman Grooming Company. Strongman sells all their mustache waxes in a 1 ounce container with a full turn lid. Now they are using a copper colored tin. Now it is just colored that way, it's not actually tin. So if you carry it around in your pocket, it will get a little bit of a wear, but to me, it just adds character to the container. Strongman has a lot of different scents of mustache wax. In fact, right now it's up to, I think I counted 14 different scents, which is just pretty cool. And that's not even counting like the unscented wax. That's just the scented ones. So I got 3 different waxes. The 3 that I was sent, one of them is 2 bits, which is a bay rum, patchouli, and cedar wood scent. I really like that one, probably because of the cedar wood. I kind of tend to lean that way. I also got a movie theater popcorn, which is, well, it smells exactly like its name is. If you like movie theater very buttery popcorn, you may want to try that one out. And I also got what I believe is a whiskey. However, that's not currently on their scents list on their website. Now, to apply the mustache wax, I'm going to go ahead and use the whiskey one, and I'm just going to apply it like I would any other medium hold wax. The ingredients of this mustache wax include beeswax, pine rosin, lanolin, cocoa butter, shea butter, beef tallow, as well as the fragrance oils. Strongman mustache wax also comes in some interesting scents such as strong brew coffee, pineapple, brewski, which is a beer, pinskin, which is a leather, snake oil, and other interesting scents. Now, as you guys saw, I didn't need any external heat, and all I really needed was the brush, but of course I also did have my mustache pre-curled with curlers beforehand. Now for my thoughts on the Strongman waxes. Well, I found that it is very easy to apply. I found that the scent definitely lasts the majority, if not all, of the day, because I was definitely getting some whiffs of that popcorn whenever I would use that one. as well as the 2-bits. Not as much as the popcorn because it's not quite as strong of a scent. However, it definitely still lasted all day. Now, if you are somebody that doesn't like strong scented mustache waxes, I do suggest staying away from the scented mustache wax from Strongman. However, they do have you covered with an unscented if you are looking for a medium hold wax, which this is definitely in that medium hold to maybe even the lighter side of a medium hold wax. I found that it holds my mustache fairly naturally while still kind of bringing all of the hair towards each other to kind of bunch it up a little bit more and get a little bit more definition. Now, I did have to use curlers with this mustache wax because unfortunately I could not get a good tight curl without pre-curling it with this mustache wax. And that's not any fault of the wax because it is a medium hold and all this stash does take a little bit of strength to hold. So I'm not holding that against the wax whatsoever. And I did find that the medium hold wax in combination with Strongman Samson wax was a very good combination. And how do you use them both? Well, I simply applied the medium hold to all of the stash. Then I went back and I applied the Samson strength to about the middle to the tips, which really gave it a nice point on the tips and really got all those hairs really nicely together with nice tips. So I do suggest that if you're gonna buy the Samson strength, which I reviewed in the past, go ahead and pick yourself up one of the medium hold waxes in the same scent. Now, I think that if you have a very small handlebar that just barely comes out past the ends of your lips, I think that you could get away with the medium hold from Strongman, as well as if you just have a above the lip or shorter mustache altogether, you could probably get away with that. I can't unless if I go with this more natural hold look, which honestly I don't really have anything against. I just prefer when I go out to have it looking a little bit sharper. Now, overall, I think that it is a fairly decent wax. It's a good medium hold wax, although I personally would like to see it go a little bit stronger towards the strong side of medium, but that's just a personal preference. And I think that for the right person, these waxes would definitely be a good contender. And for the price from $9 to $11 at the time of this recording, depending on the scent that you get, I think that he hit the price tag right on the money with it. And so I say, go ahead and check out the link below to pick yourself up some Strongman medium and maybe even that Samson strength wax. If you like this review or you just want to see what other products Strongman has available, make sure to check you to buy another one of their waxes. That's weird. But we'll get into that later on in this video. Green Grooming Company sells their mustache wax in the 1 ounce tin, which is what I have here, as well as a 2 ounce option. The lid comes off with a simple 3/4 turn. The scent of this is a natural scent, which means that you're only smelling the ingredients that are in the wax itself. To apply this wax, it is fairly simple, no need for any external heat, as it is fairly easy to remove with the back of your thumbnail. Once you have the desired amount of wax, you simply apply it like you would any other wax. The ingredients in this mustache wax are very simple, containing just beeswax, hemp seed oil, and pine rosin. This wax is labeled as a firm and tacky hold. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that Green Grooming doesn't want you to buy another one of their mustache waxes. And how do I know that? Well, because they have the recipe on the back of the tin. Not just the ingredients, guys. I'm talking about the full recipe, percentages, and everything. And if you go to their website, you can find it there as well. You can even find videos on how to make this stuff. So I think that it's really interesting. This is definitely the only company that I know of that puts their recipe right on the tin. Now you might be saying, well then why do I even need to buy one of them when I can just go and order the stuff to make it myself? Well, you're right, but you won't be planting a tree, because every time that you buy a product from Green Grooming, they're using a little bit of that money to partner with one tree planted, and that gets a tree per product. So that is pretty cool. They also request that when you do fill up your tin from them with your own homemade wax, that you go ahead and, go out there and plant a tree for yourself. It's all kind of a part of the deal. One second, my mouth's getting a little dry. Now for my experience using Green Grooming over the last 30 days or so. First off, the tin is fairly standard, which I'm not surprised about. There's a reason why so many mustache waxes use this, and that's because it's convenient and it fits nicely in the pocket. However, I carried this for about 3 or 4 days, and unfortunately the logo to front has started to fade a little bit and get beat up around the edges. I have to say the same for the back, where the all-important recipe is. So to get to the all-important wax, I do have to say that some companies just go a little bit above and beyond to stand out. And Green Grooming was no exception to that, as when I went and opened up the container, I was pleasantly surprised with the greeting from a stamped tree inside the wax. And that to me is just inviting and saying, hey, we take our time to make a quality product that we want you to enjoy. And I do like those little touches. Now once again, that doesn't affect the wax, it is just a nice little touch. Now Green Grooming on the label says that it is a firm and tacky hold. Well, I definitely have to agree with that tack, because it is a very tacky wax and barely has any of the wax type texture that you get with a lot of waxes. Now unfortunately, the firm hold portion of that I do have to disagree with, as it holds great like it is right now when I have a pre-curled mustache. Now when I don't have a pre-curled mustache, I couldn't really get it to hold a curl really even a couple of hours, much less half of the day or more, where most strong hold waxes can do without pre-curling. Now with pre-curling, I barely had any issue with this wax holding my mustache whatsoever. The only area that had any issue is where the shorter hairs are growing out down here, as there's a lot more heat concentrated there because I'm talking. Now that doesn't mean that I'm disappointed in the wax, as all it took to get those little hairs back in place was a little brush with the finger. So now you might be wondering what I would categorize this wax as. Well, I have to say that it is a medium. However, it is definitely on the stronger side of a medium hold wax. Now, a couple of personal thoughts that I have about Green Grooming. The first one is that I do think that we should all do everything that we can to leave a better world. And Green Grooming is definitely doing that by partnering with One Tree Planted, so that every product that they sell, they're helping plant a tree, as well as giving you the recipe right on the back to refill your tin. Now, something that was really surprising to me is that they don't even sell kits to be able to order and make your own. So they're not making any additional profit by trying to sell you the actual ingredients themselves. Which personally, I think they really should, because a kit on making your own wax would be really cool. For me, a lot of the experience of using a wax really does have to do with the first impressions. And not only was that little stamped tree on the wax a good impression, but to get to the tin itself was also a good impression. Now, Green Grooming sells on Amazon, which means that it usually just comes in an Amazon box. However, to say that they care a little bit more about their products, it also came in this little packaging, reminding you that one tin equals one tree. Now, who is this wax best suited for? Well, I think that if you have a smaller handlebar and that you are not pre-curling, I think this wax would probably be just fine for you. I also think that it would make a great training wax, as it's got some stiffness, but a little bit of movement is allowed in it as well. And I think that if you've got a larger mustache like I do, and you are pre-curling, I think that this wax is definitely one that you should check out. Now, I know that you might be wondering about the price. Probably because most green companies jack up their price and are much more expensive than any of their other competitors that aren't claiming to be green. However, I do have to say that I was pleasantly surprised that green grooming for a 1 ounce tin is just 13 bucks, which is on par with really most of the other waxes out there. And if you want to just skip the 1 ounce and go straight to the 2 ounce, it is only $2 more at $15 at the time of this recording. My final thoughts on Green Grooming's mustache wax is that it is definitely a fairly decent wax, as well as it's made by a company that clearly cares about their presentation as well as the earth. To see a video of a company that kind of reminds me of Green Grooming, check out this mustache wax right here. I did indeed curl one side of my stache and not the other. Stick around to find out why. Now, Colonial Dames sells their mustache wax in a 1/8 ounce lip balm container. It's fairly standard with your little friction pop off lid and the turn applicator on it. Fairly standard for these mustache waxes that come in a small container like this. The color of this wax is slightly off-white towards the yellow realm. However, when you go to apply it or you warm it up in your fingers, it does become clear. So it is more of a neutral color, as they call it, and should be good for, well, just about any mustache color without making a large color change. The scent is a very light scent, and now they don't say what the fragrance is, they just have it down as fragrance. So the best guess that I can make is going to be on the vanilla scale of scents. Now, it is a very light scent, so the fragrance of it does tend to dissipate rather quickly. The ingredients list is fairly short, containing just beeswax, petroleum jelly, lanolin, and the fragrance. Now, to apply this, it does say to stroke a generous amount onto your mustache or beard and comb through. However, I found that that just took way too long on my mustache, although it did work fairly decently on my beard. So what I usually did was use my thumbnail to get a little bit of wax and apply it like I normally would. This wax does not have any claims to be any particular strength hold. However, I would have to say that it is probably a medium hold. Now, from my experience using Father's mustache wax. Right away when I made my order, I ordered 2 of them, because usually when I get mustache waxes that are in a tube like this, I usually end up having 2 or 3 or more of them with different scents. However, this is going to be a single one, and I wasn't sure how long it was going to last me. But to my surprise, it actually lasted me the whole month. Actually, I've been using it for like a month and a half now, but I don't apply wax every day typically. So I'd say that you will probably get about a month's worth of wax out of this, as long as you are pre-curling if you have a larger handlebar. It definitely needs that help of the pre-curl, otherwise you end up what I have here, which is a very heavy mustache, because you end up needing twice the amount of wax when you don't help it out like I did on this side. And this side, even right now, I went a little heavier on it for the video than I did most of the month. Most of the month I did a much lighter and a much more natural looking mustache, which means that I just added just enough of the Father's mustache wax to hold all of the hairs where I wanted them, going in a curl while they were still fairly loose. As you can see here, you get a fair amount of wax out of one of these tubes, and I found that it ends up being right about 1 3/4 inches of wax before ever using any of the wax itself. Now you can get all but just the very littlest bit of wax out of it, which is fine with me because some of these containers out there, you really got to get your fingers in there to scrape off the very last little bit. Now over the last month or so of carrying this little container in my pocket, I have to say that it did hold up fairly nicely, which I appreciate because I can still read the logo on it. Which means that I'm not going to get this messed up with any chapstick container that may have rubbed off or something. So I appreciate that. Now the how to apply it is a little bit worn, but that's not really that important after you read it the first 1 or 2 times anyway. Now who do I think that the Father's Mustache Wax would be good for? Well, I think that it's good for a few different people. If you're like me and you want a more natural looking hold some days and you are training your mustache to go the way that you want after a shower, I think this wax definitely can accomplish that, provided that you have a little bit tighter curls. If you want larger curls, it may not be able to have the more natural look to it. If you have a chevron mustache, which doesn't really need anything fancy like this, but you want something to kind of keep the hairs a little bit tighter to themselves, I think the Father's Mustache Wax is actually a fairly good option for that, as it is good for getting those little loose hairs that might be going in your mouth, and just a very simple application. Now before I talk to you guys about the price of this, I do want to point out that this side of my mustache, where it was pre-curled, is still looking fairly good. However, this side here is starting to slowly make its way toward the front, which means that I would have to sit here and fix it all the time. Now do I think this little tube of wax is worth your money? Well, coming in at right around $5, some's a little less, some's a little more. I think that it's actually a fairly decent wax if you just want to have something with you at all times to adjust your mustache look. Now because it is such a small amount, you can get them in multi-packs as well. And if you're interested in that, go ahead and check out the video description below and pick yourself up. So to me, to just use in between my other reviews with no obligation whatsoever or expectations to ever be featured or get a full-blown review. But I think that you should know what mustache waxes are available to you and what my thoughts are on them. So let's get into this review. Now Brett sells his mustache waxes mostly in 1 ounce tins. However, he does have sample packs that come in little 0.5 ounce aluminum tins. The tins are half turn lids, so you don't need to worry about the lid ever falling off. Each wax comes with a guitar pick with Brett's logo on it. Now usually this time in the video I'll be telling you guys about the scents, but honestly there's just too much to unpack there, so we're going to talk about that here in a minute. However, what I can tell you while you're watching me make up my mustache here, you're definitely going to want to warm up that wax with something like a blow dryer like you see me doing here. Because this mustache wax is mostly comprised of beeswax, it is a very hard wax just to remove with your thumb or even the provided pick. Once it's applied, before you style it, you're gonna want to run the comb through it with the blow dryer running just to really smooth out that wax and make it so you don't end up with any streaks in your mustache. The ingredients of this are fairly simple, containing just beeswax, lanolin, coconut oil, and a fragrance. Now that the mustache is looking rather dapper, let's go back and talk about the scents of Brett Christmer's mustache wax. Now Brett definitely has a unique sense of humor, so much so that he's came up with a few very unique names for a couple of his mustache waxes. For instance, the little 5-ounce that I showed you earlier, that one is called Monkey Farts. He also has one that is called Dutch Oven. So yeah, he definitely has a unique sense of humor when it comes to some of his mustache waxes. Now you might be wondering how good monkey farts can really smell. Well, I'll tell you what, if monkey's farts actually smell like this, I'd be going to the zoo a lot more, because this stuff smells pretty dang good. It's a mixture of pineapple, apple, banana scents, along with a vanilla that just carries all the way throughout. And then you have ones like Old Barber Shop, which is probably just what you would think an old barber shop would smell like, as well as caramel apple, rum and cake, along with many others. Now, besides that 1/2 ounce monkey farts, he also sent me 4 full-size 1-ounce mustache waxes. One of those is a part of his signature series, and that is the Bob and Elliot mustache wax, which is a strong hold, or what he calls a firm hold mustache wax. Which leaves me with 3 scented mustache waxes. The first one we're going to talk about real quick is the Apple Tobacco. Now, I found this one to be so light that I wasn't quite sure that it was actually scented. However, there is definitely a little bit of Apple Tobacco scent in there. It is just extremely light, and you can pick it up right before you pick up the scents of the natural ingredients that are in it. The next one was Santa's Sugar Cookies. Now, this one smells like sugar and, well, cookies. It is a very nice scent. It is definitely a little bit on the stronger side, but I think for a mustache wax that is supposed to smell like Christmas around the holidays, this is actually a really nice scent, and it's maybe stronger than the others, but it is not overpowering. And the last scent I was sent was the Stache Mechanic. This is a vanilla, bourbon, and leather scent, and I don't pick up much of the vanilla, but that leather and bourbon, that's a really nice combination. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Bob and Elliot mustache wax is considered a firm hold or strong hold wax, while the rest of the mustache wax that he has falls in the medium wax category. However, I would have to say that it is definitely more towards the heavier or stronger side of a medium wax. My experience using Brett Christmer's mustache wax over the last few months on and off has been a fairly good one. I found that the mustache wax definitely holds throughout the day and well into the next day. With that being said, I do have to say that I mainly could tell which mustache wax I was putting in simply by how easy or hard it was to apply. And you might be wondering, well, why don't you just look at the label? Well, the fronts of the tins are the same, so I've just been kind of grabbing whatever one. And I could tell that applying the Bob and Elliot mustache wax was definitely a bit harder and took a bit more time than the standard medium strong mustache waxes did. But as far as holding throughout time, I mean, the Bob and Elliot did hold a little bit longer than the others, but normally you only need a mustache wax to hold for a day. I would have to say that if you want a unscented wax, you can go ahead and get the Bob and Elliot for a strong hold, or you can just get a scented one or the medium non-scented one, and you will be happy with that. And for me, it just applies a little bit easier. Now, my biggest complaint about the mustache wax is that it takes a while to actually blend it into the mustache and be able to get a even coat. However, that is just the nature of waxes that are extremely beeswax based, especially when it comes to the stronger hold waxes. They all take a little bit extra to blend in, as well as a little bit extra styling time to get each hair to where you want it to be. So I'm not going to hold that against Brett because it's just the nature of the beast. Now I also want to talk about the scents a little bit more, because I do have to say that I think that Brett does a really good job on getting these scents just right. Even the Santa Sugar Cookies Mustache Wax, that is much stronger than the other ones that I received. I have to say that it isn't overpowering, and it never once overthrew my senses where it gave me a headache or it got annoying. And although the other scents aren't super strong, they are just strong enough to cover the natural scents of the ingredients that make up the wax, while not being too strong. And honestly, once applied, I don't think that I really smelt the wax at all after that, which to me, I think is a good thing. Now when it comes to the prices of these mustache waxes, I went onto a site and I was very surprised to see them, because honestly, they're great prices. They're sitting at anywhere between $10 and like $13 or $14 is the highest one that I think that I saw on his site. And the little ones are about $6 to $8. So I think that that is a very fair price for the strength as well as the great scents that are available to you through Brett Christmer's Mustache Wax. Now, of course, if you would like to pick yourself up some of Brett's Mustache Wax, make sure that you check out the link on a wax that is more of a gel. Now, when you buy Brothers Love, it'll come in a nice looking old style box with some old style kind of labeling on it, but inside you will find a 10 milliliter or 0.34 fluid ounce aluminum tube with a screw off black plastic lid. Now the color of this one is clear. I do believe that they have a brown colored one as well, but it is clear, which means that it shouldn't mess with any coloring of your mustache, natural or otherwise. The scent of this, it's supposed to be a barbershop. However, it doesn't smell like any of my other barbershop scents. To me, it just smells like a strong hair gel from the early 2000s. Now, as far as the ingredients go, this is not going to be on your natural ingredients mustache wax list, just because it is a gel, which makes it really hard to have all natural ingredients in it. However, as you can see on screen, there's a whole bunch of ingredients that have very scientific names, as well as a few that you may recognize, like lanolin and, well, water. But as far as I can tell, a lot of these ingredients are for the scent, as well as most of them are used in a whole lot of other products already that have been around for many, many years, including a lot of those being in hair gel type products. Now, to apply Brothers Love Mustache Wax, it is a bit different than some of them that I've reviewed in the past. However, the first step is to get a little bit on your finger, then rub it in between your finger and thumb for a very short amount of time, then apply it from the inside of the mustache, working your way to the ends of the hair. You're going to want to start with a small amount and then add product as needed fairly quickly, as this product does dry quickly. Now the question is, how do you remove Brothers Love Mustache Wax from your mustache? Well, it's fairly simple, as the Brothers Love is water-based, which means that you just have to run some water over it and rinse it out. Which definitely comes in handy if one side of your mustache just is not wanting to participate like the other and needs to be redone. And that's how you style your mustache with Brothers Love. My experience using Brothers Love Mustache Wax over the last 30 days has been an interesting one. I found that it is definitely a different product, mainly in the dry time and work time, where most of my products I have an infinite amount of work time because, well, they're mostly beeswax, so therefore as long as I keep them warm, I can work with them and fix each individual hair if I need to. You just don't get that luxury with the Brothers Love, because you have about a minute and a half before this starts setting up really stiff. And unfortunately, you can't really add more of the Brothers Love once it has set up, because the Brothers Love dries, and when you are working with it, when it's dry, it just flakes and kind of becomes like dandruff almost, which just doesn't work. So if you didn't get your mustache right where you wanted to the first time, you're gonna end up rinsing it out and trying again. Luckily, it is water-based, which means that you can rinse it out fairly quickly, redo your mustache, put the curlers back in, do whatever you need to do, and then let it dry and reapply. So luckily there is that positive to this, and there's also another positive of, because it doesn't have beeswax in it, this product should not be affected by any heat. If you're in Florida in 110 or North Dakota in 5-degree weather, this should hold fairly decent. Now, something that I noticed throughout the day of using the Brothers Love Mustache Wax that you may also be noticing as I am talking, that not all the hair will stay with the main curl of the mustache. As right along the bottom lip here, I've got some that are breaking away already, as well as I have a few in the center that just never went with those main curls. And so this is not a good wax to be very particular about how the mustache is looking. If you need a mustache to be in a pristine condition for something like a competition and where you're going to be talking and stuff to people, I would not probably suggest this one. A couple other observations that I made about this product is that, one, it is a rather light product because you have to use just such a very little bit of it to actually hold the main curls where they're supposed to be, that it doesn't really weigh down on the mustache at all. I have to say that this product actually kind of surprised me on how well it did work and how well it lasted me on long work days. There was a day that I pulled a 10-hour workday, and it was still looking fairly decent at the end of the day. Which I guess that brings me to, who would I suggest this mustache wax for? Well, honestly, I think that if you're going to be out in the heat of the day all day long, this may be a fairly decent contender for you, provided you don't need each hair to be exactly in its place. I also think that it'd be fairly decent wax for anybody that has a wild short-haired mustache, as I think that this might do the trick as long as you have enough hair for it to stick to the hair and not to the skin. Because just like I mentioned that it gets kind of flaky if you mess with it, it'll get flaky on your skin as well. Which brings me to if the price of this is worth your money. Well, I think that if you are new to having a mustache, or you're happy with your mustache wax that you currently have, I would say you don't need to spend your money on this at all. Keep on going what you're doing, or watch a couple of my other videos to learn about what waxes you might want to start out with. But this one, I don't think is it. However, I think that if you are out in the sun all day and want something that will last stiffly all day, this is going to be a good contender for you. As well, if you're just looking for a new product to add to your collection, I think this is a decent one to add and to give a try out. But who really knows until you try it? Because although it may not be my favorite wax, you may end up absolutely loving it. To check out another stronghold wax that is beeswax based, check out this video up here. Down below, it's going to be a video that you may enjoy. So we're going to take a look and see what is the same, what's changed, and if it's still worth the money in your wallet. Now, as far as how Brett sells his wax, it is in a 1-ounce container with his little tiki logo on it, of course. It has a half-turn lid, and of course, you get a pick to remove the wax from its container a little bit easier than using your thumb. I received this in 3 different scents. The first one is a black cherry tobacco. It's mostly a cherry with a little bit of tobacco scent. To me, it kind of reminds me of a cherry Swisher Sweet. The second one that he sent me was Old Hickory Smoke, and let me tell you, it smells like a hickory bonfire. It is just a really great scent. But if you guys have watched all my mustache wax videos, you'll know that I really appreciate these smoke scented mustache waxes. I don't know why, I just really enjoy them. The third one that he sent me this round is Sean's Gunslinger. It's a part of his signature series, and it's a mix of a bacon, gunpowder, and a clove. Now, I actually had to ask him what this one was because, you know, when you smell like cinnamon or peppermint, how your nose kind of tingles? Well, I get the same thing off of this, and I'm guessing that it's probably due to that clove. But although that combination seems like it might be weird, it actually goes together fairly well. Now, although his formula has changed, the ingredients really haven't changed that much, as the new one just contains a beeswax, lanolin, and coconut oil, leaving out the only ingredient that has changed at all, which is a pine rosin, which is no longer in this wax. Now you might be asking yourself, so if the ingredients are about the same, what's really changed besides removing the pine rosin? Well, Brett has changed the amounts of the remaining 3 ingredients. So there's less wax and more of the coconut oil and lanolin to get a soft, smooth, pliable wax. And as you see, it is very easy to apply to the mustache. Now for my experience using Brett Christmer's new formula, Mustache Wax. My time using this over the last 30 days or so has been a fairly good one. I did miss being able to just throw on a wax very quickly without really having to fuss with it, with warming it up or having it in my pocket for any length of time to get it a little bit more pliable and a little bit easier to use. This stuff is very easy just to pick up off of a shelf, a table, wherever you store it, and just dig your thumb into it very quickly, get a nice chunk out of it, and be able to apply it immediately just using the couple of seconds of heat from your fingers. So the convenience factor alone was a pretty good one for me. Now, just like I mentioned the last time that I reviewed his mustache wax, the scents are great. They're not overpowering and they're not too absent either. So you get just the right amount of scent every time that you apply one of his waxes. Now, as far as the strength of this wax goes, I have to put it somewhere in the medium to strong hold area, because it's not quite a medium because it very easily holds throughout the day. However, it's not quite a strong hold because there was a couple of times that I did need to readjust my mustache. Now, for me to do handlebars with this mustache, it was definitely better that I train them after a shower to be in a handlebar shape. Just because my hair doesn't like to really listen to what I want it to do after I have wax on it. Could I force it to with enough wax? Yes. Would it look good? Probably not. So if you want to do a nice handlebar with Brett's wax, I highly suggest, just like I do even the stronghold waxes, go ahead and train your mustache to do so. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, that I will let you know if I think that this is worth your money. Well, Brett is still right around that $12 mark, and honestly, I think that it's worth a couple dollars more, and I think I might even say that in my original review. Now, if you're one of those people that went ahead and bought a mustache wax from Brett last time that I reviewed his product, and you're disappointed to hear that he's going towards a softer wax and a medium to strong hold wax instead of the strong hold that he was in, don't fear, he is still going to have those available. I'm not sure if the option is on his site quite yet, but he said that people can just contact him and let him know that that's what they're looking for, and he'll go ahead and make it up. Now that you know the basics of what Brett has changed, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section if you could make up any scent whatsoever to be a mustache wax, no matter how wacky it is. In fact, the wackier the better. I want to know down in the comments below. Now I gotta do that YouTuber thing and ask you guys to hit that thumbs up and hit that subscriber button so that, more importantly, how does it look? So a few months ago, our friends over at Savvy Jack came out with a blackout mustache wax that is definitely black and made for people with much darker mustaches than I currently have. Because unfortunately, they can't use something like the natural wax because it does lighten their mustaches, just like the natural will in fact leave a little bit of a yellowish tint to those that have white mustaches. And the natural is honestly what I usually use in my mustache because it doesn't add any yellow tint and it doesn't darken my mustache at all. But I've kind of wondered with my blondish brown hair, what would a dark mustache wax like this one do? Well, to find out, the only real way is to test them both. So we're going to go ahead and put the natural on my right side and the blackout on my left. Now, of course, in my review of the Savvy Jack Natural, I don't have to use a blow dryer to remove the wax. Alright, now here you can see that the side that has the original in it doesn't really change color from the side that isn't done up yet. Now normally I would just dig my thumb down into this blackout container, but Savvy Jack was so nice to send me a package of 3 of the lip balm or pocket sized containers. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use out of this one because I think I'll be able to take a little bit less out of this one than I will out of the tin for each time that I apply a little bit more. And I basically wanna see what happens if I just use a little bit of wax and slowly build up to that until we can see how dark we can make this mustache. First up, I've just got just a little bit here on my thumb. I don't think I'll see much difference here with that much, but not much of a difference, but I can see like right in here, there's a little bit of a darker look right there. So I'm gonna double the amount this time that I put in there. I'm gonna go ahead and comb it through. I don't know how much you guys can tell, but there is definitely a decent difference between those two sides right now. And I've just added just a little dinky bit to that side of the stash, like not even enough to really do a decent styling of it. So I'm gonna take right about the same amount there that I did that last time and add that in again. Now I gotta make sure that I get that real nice and close to the middle here. Otherwise it's just gonna change color right at the end there towards my nose. And I think this is going to be my 5th edition of Loma Wax. Right now it's not really seeming to get any darker because I'm applying it where there isn't any color already. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that hair apart to really make sure that I get it evenly distributed in there. Like all this back hair here, you can see dark, light. Now at this point I'm pretty sure that I've used just as much wax as I did for this side. If not, maybe a little bit more. Now, although I don't really need to because I could style it as is, I do want to take the blow dryer and the comb and really blend it in and use the heat just to kind of warm it up to help it stay in the mustache as well as get on any hairs that aren't completely coated yet. All right, and there we go, gentlemen. I think that we definitely can say that, yeah, it will definitely darken a mustache. Now you might be wondering why I didn't review this wax just as long as I reviewed the original like I do with most of my waxes. Well, honestly, it's because this blackout is the same ingredients list as the naturals is. The only difference is that the blackout has a black iron oxide, which is a natural ingredient in it, and the texture of it and everything is, well, quite frankly, the same as the natural. So if you're still looking for a really strong hold that is great for just about anything and you have a black mustache or you need to temporarily color your mustache, the blackout is a pretty decent option, I think. Now, a couple of other questions you might be wondering is, am I going to be wearing the blackout on a regular basis? Well, by itself, probably not, but I do see a few use cases that the blackout will definitely come in handy. One of those is that some of my hairs aren't quite as dark as I may like them to be. And I think that if I add in just a little bit of the blackout, that I'll be able to get my mustache just a shade darker and get some of those really blonde hairs to match a little bit better, which may help the whole mustache as a whole look a little bit better when I need it to. I also think that if I ever want to play a character with a black mustache, well, blackout is definitely the way that I'll be going. Because honestly, I don't want to use one of those multi-chemical sprays that you can get for temporarily dyeing your mustache from like the Halloween store or something. I'd much rather just use a black wax because after all, I'm putting a wax in it anyway. Now, if you're wondering if there's a big price difference between this and the natural, they're both right around $15 from the link down below. While you're down there checking that out, why don't leave me a comment to let me know what you think about this side versus this side, because I really want to know what you think about the black versus my natural mustache color. If you're wondering my thoughts on the original wax and want to know what the ingredients list are for both of these, as well as how it will hold and all that goodness, check out this video up here. Down below, that's going to be a video that you may enjoy as well. Until next time, as always, you have a good one.